Okay, let's get started.
Just raise your glasses high. This one's for
Amy.
Riley.
Amy, we're making a lot of money right now.
We're riding high.
Amy and I are, what's that expression? High on the hog? Amy and I are rolling in cash right now as we speak. And also we're having the time of our lives because something beautiful happened to us.
Yeah, I mean, I know we talk about that no matter what, we will stay objective and we can't be bought. But we met West Wilson from Summer House last night, and I have to say it's going to be a real uphill battle to get me to trash talk him ever again.
Oh, we're bought and paid for. And actually, I think the Turtle Time way is that if anybody buys us anything, we're bought and paid for. Like we said back when Lindsay Hubbard was, doing Cocaine Carl stuff, we said if she gave us even $100, we would be on her side for it, right?
Yeah, we have no integrity.
Yeah, but you're right. I mean, I think, well, here's what I'll say. Not only will I never, ever, ever even whisper one bad word about West in my life, he's also never done anything even close to warrant me thinking ill of him. And he treated you and I better than any people, or better than I've ever been treated in my life by anyone. Bravo Celebrity excluded.
Yeah.
He was so sweet to us. I
Yeah.
couldn't even believe it. Should we say our full story of how nice
Yeah.
he was to us?
Yeah, so we went to this Summer House advanced screening event that we bought tickets to. Yes, bought tickets to.
It was okay. It was only $85 a piece, right?
It was a major rip, but
You
we
think
do it
so?
for you guys. We do it for you.
Well,
That's where your Patreon dollars go, to our boots on the ground access, since we don't get invited to shit.
Yeah, it will not yet. It was a beautiful place called Nickel Mine in
West LA.
West LA?
Yeah.
Like where the New Art was, and I've never been to that bar before.
Yeah, so it was Tuesday night showing the episode, the Thursday night Summer House finale, advanced screening.
So as we speak, Amy and I right now, we've seen the Summer House finale.
Yeah,
We saw it in a packed, crowded bar.
some might say unideal circumstances.
There were some people who went to that watch party that did not give a shit about Summer House, and they were screaming. And
Well, then what did they care about? Because we could only get them to be quiet for Summer House, and then the Dubai and Jersey previews, no one could certainly hear a word.
No, we were all talking over those completely. But I thought there was a little bit of disrespect for Summer House. I mean, there was
Major,
people
we had to shush.
Yeah, it was horrible. Amy and I were shushing from the back of the room, shushing anyone the minute they started to talk. If you got shushed at that watch party, that was Amy and I in the back of the bar.
Yeah.
But I just want to say that you and I have in our brains what happened in the Summer House finale, but we can't talk about it legally.
Yeah,
Because
embargoed.
Completely embargoed. Our first embargo. That guy, there
It
was
was
an
a
MC
verbal agreement.
This MC, he goes, "For the love of God, I'm trusting you so much right now. Please don't say anything about the finale at all because you'll ruin my life." But can I say one spoiler?
Mm-hmm.
It was great.
It was good. I can't wait to watch it again at full volume. But yeah, so we bought the tickets a while ago, and all it said was surprise guests, but they didn't say who.
Yeah.
And we really didn't know at all.
Yeah, we were like JT, Taylor Ann Green. We were like, I thought it was going to be Ryan, Jen Pedrante's boyfriend.
Yeah.
I was like, who's it going to be? I thought Taylor Armstrong.
Yeah, we had no clue. And then we showed up, and since it was a Summer House event, we were like, one of us has to wear our West Wilson t-shirts, now available on Etsy. So I wore mine. It was the first time I had worn it. We showed up, and we also on our way there, or right before we left, we saw that West was at In-N-Out in LA, and we were like, that's a good sign.
That was a good sign for us, because if he's in Los Angeles, the odds got tremendously greater that he would go to this watch party.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah. So I had like 3 Pinot Grigios. We watched the episode, and then finally they introduced the special guests, which were first it was Jen Fessler.
Yes. Which
from
I was
New Jersey.
Yeah, I was excited about Fessler.
Yeah. Famously fucked James Gandolfini.
I told that to our friend in line. I go, you don't know Jen Fessler yet, but she made love to James Gandolfini at some point in his life.
Yeah.
So that was a good guest.
Yeah. And then it was a housewife of Dubai.
Yeah, Lisa Milan.
Yeah. And she was dressed to the nines. And then I think it was lastly West Wilson.
Yes.
And everyone went ape shit.
Oh, it was like my only reference is like the Beatles on Ed Sullivan. Do you remember when they first performed?
Major cultural moment.
Do you remember that?
I was there.
Yeah, it was kind of like that. It got so loud. The people who had been screaming during the Summer House screening started screaming even more. And then I have to give a shout out to Natalie. I think she'll appreciate being named. They got this big meet and greet line. And Amy and I thought that we might have to purchase Bravo merch to get in the line. There was like Bravo merch where it was like, it said, Bravo is my love language. And one was like, I don't like
Bravo to me.
Talk Bravo. And one was like, I don't like sports. I watch Bravo. And we were like, okay, let's buy one of these shirts. But then it was no, anybody can go in this line. And the line, and then Natalie said, you guys have to go in this line. But you and I, no.
Left to our own devices, we would have been like, we're shy and hate lines.
Yeah, so we weren't going to do it. And also, I was able to get drunk tonight, too. I didn't include that. But I was drunk as hell, too. Well, not drunk, but I got to have margarita and 2 beers. And Natalie convinced us to go in the line, which was the right thing for us to do. But you and I wouldn't have done it. And our lives would have been changed had we not gone in. It went a little...
The butterfly effect.
Yeah, it went a little slow. But then... Finally, we got to the front. We were nervous as hell. It felt like BravoCon again.
Yeah.
And then you were wearing your shirt, and then you tell your side of the story of we were next in line, waiting. And I was like, I hope I don't blow it. And then tell how we were received.
It was such a blur.
But
so we posted the full video of this on Patreon, but there are many photos as well. But I was next in line, and West was more excited about the t-shirt that I was wearing and like our presence wearing it than potentially I was. Like, it was just, he put his hands over his mouth immediately. Yeah. He like freaked out. He said like, what the fuck? Yeah. He like hugged us. He said that he knew of the podcast. He had seen clips online that we're so nice.
Yeah. He goes, you're so funny and you're so nice. And I can't believe it. And he like, I mean, the reception of us, like I could never have written in my wildest dreams the best reaction to you and I, and it was like that times 10. It was so sweet and kind. And then Jen Fessler and Lisa Milan just had to sort of look at what was happening. They're kind of in the background and they're just like, what is going on here?
We were taken aback. And then so they kind of backtracked and like went away. And then West was like, yeah, this deserves more time. Like let's like give them more time than whatever the average 30 seconds was or whatever.
Yes.
And he said he was going to come find us after. We chatted with him for a bit. We gave him his own shirt because we had an extra one. He said he just kept complimenting us. He was being so nice. Yeah.
Funny, cute, sweet. He said, I mean, I don't know how many clips of Turtle. I was wondering, what has he seen?
I know.
Because there's no way. Like, was he like, he watched like all of the mini gifs of Sandoval, or like, or probably just just clips, I guess, come across. But anyway, it was just so nice that he knew who we were. It was so sweet. And then he never made it around. I mean, this is not his fault, because he said, I want to drink a shot with you guys. I love you. And then we were sort of being very casual, we didn't want to be over eager. So we kind of just waited with our friends. We were riding high on being, complimented, and it was so sweet. And then finally, as we were about to leave, that's when we gave him the shirt. And he felt so bad that he had never made his way to drink a shot with us. And Amy and I were just like, we understand. Every single person in this room wants to be with you nonstop. Like, it's okay.
He was under attack. I feel like we got a glimpse into, we were talking about how like there were so many girls that wanted to buy him shots. He was trying to like give everyone their minute and like be so nice to everyone. And I was like, this is what brought Shep to the brink, which is what we saw at BravoCon, where I'm like, if like just unlimited girls and anyone really just want to buy you shots everywhere you go in every city across America, you're like doomed.
Yeah.
Like at a certain point, you just have to be like, no, thank you.
Yeah, right. What do you do? Like, what do you do if you don't want to engage in that type of like behavior? Like, drink a
Yeah,
shot.
like I can't do that many shots.
Yeah. So even when he was being so sweet to us, people were coming up and they were like, "You said you were going to take a shot with me. Please come back to me." Like almost like, and then West ultimately said, "I'm so sorry. I'm so sad. I feel like I failed you." And we said, "No, West, you've made our wildest dreams come true. Enjoy your shirt." And then that was it. And then we went off into the night, kind of just, having the time of our lives after that, right?
Yeah. And then he posted photos of me on Instagram wearing the shirt.
Yes.
And then we posted that they're available for purchase. And he said, tag me in that. I'll share it. And he did.
Yeah, he has no qualms about making us rich off merchandise that features him.
We're going to get like at least one bar tab at Jax's Studio City out of this.
Because with all of the money we're raking in now, you and I could possibly spend about $200 at Jackson Studio City.
Totally. We have to karmically put it back into the Bravo cash pile.
Of course we will. And even for tax purposes.
Write it off.
You know what I'm talking about?
It's a write-off.
If we write it off on drinking at Jackson Studio City, you can consider that work.
Yeah.
Well, if any, obviously let us know if there's any or accountants listening. But overall, it was a beautiful, wonderful experience. And I mean, I'll just say this. I think we had a Villa Rosa VIP, which, they're the most wonderful people on earth, the most cherished people walking among us. They even reached out to Wes and said, "You should come on Turtle Time." And Wes said, he's being very nice, I'm sure, but he said, "I would love to do that."
Yeah.
So there's a potential someday, maybe, if Amy and I play our cards right and we get our shit together, he could be one of the first guests on the softball. What's that segment called? Softball, hardball?
Something like that.
We should probably, let's get that title worked out before he joins us for it.
Yeah. But yeah, he lived up to the hype. Meet your heroes.
It was a classic meet your heroes. He was nicer than I imagined. And that's why I have said this before. You get a sense of Bravo celebrities and how they're going to treat you by how they appear throughout their entire run of their Bravo experience. Like, you know what I mean? Everyone that I met when we were at BravoCon, I was like, I understand that interaction. Like, I know this person, pretty well based off seeing them in every type of environment for their entire run of Bravo. And West really, like, he was as nice and sweet and funny as you could ever imagine.
Yeah. He hasn't been beaten down yet.
Yeah, I was just gonna say he's not jaded yet by the Bravo fan base, and he was probably enjoying this, for the most part. So yeah, it was good. I mean, it was it was like a perfect experience. I'm so glad we went to that watch party.
Really paid off in dividends.
It really did. Anything else to say about that?
Was there any other news? I mean, I feel like by the time people are listening to this, they'll have Summer House to look forward to. I will say it delivers.
Yes.
We will talk about that later. But yeah, has there been any other Bravo news?
The only thing I wanted to ask you about, and this is kind of I almost played softball, hardball with you because I didn't prepare this for you. But what do you think about this? What do you think about this Spritz Society thing that's going on?
Oh God, with Craig?
Yeah, with Kyle. Because I think that this happened the night after we got done recording, so we never talked about it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's bubbling up, anymore. But I just wanted to ask you, live, what your thoughts were on Craig being a Spritz Society person and Kyle being so upset and sad and calling Craig a goddamn liar.
Yeah, that was wild. I really want to know about like what Paige and Amanda are thinking, because I assume that Craig ran this by Paige first, and even Craig ran it by Kyle first.
Yeah. Well, Kyle said that he didn't.
Well, I believe that he said, I want equity, and Kyle said no.
Oh, okay. So that was it. So Kyle wouldn't make a deal that Craig wanted.
Yeah,
so
that's
he
just
went to
not their business model. Like, no one else has equity.
Right.
Whereas the Spritz Society, I think they have it divvied up amongst like influencers. That's how they do it.
So Craig couldn't get equity in Loverboy, so he decided to go to a rival Spritz that would grant him equity. And Kyle is upset because, well, Kyle was upset for some reason. He said that the founders of Spritz Society took him out to dinner, wined him and dined him, and then were secretly recording his conversations about his business strategy.
Slugworth.
Yeah, he said, no, he didn't say it wasn't that far, but he said that like he got wined and dined, and they
never
pressed
brought it
him
up
for information. No, he said that they like gleaned secret information from him in the after show.
Oh.
He painted a pretty vivid picture of Spritz Society sort of taking advantage of Loverboy. And Kyle is so business minded that like that's like the ultimate sin you could commit against him. Yeah. And then that's when he called Craig a liar because he said he went to dinner with him and Craig didn't even bring up that he was going to join the Spritz Society.
Yeah. Andy, I think, prompted like, is Craig known to lie? Like, he sort of like teed him up for it. And I was like, do I need to rewatch Southern Charm? Because I kind of remember that, but I forgot that that's like a thing.
He's not. No,
he kind of like exaggerated or misunderstood what his role would be at that like whiskey distillery or whatever.
When Jay Bubber, JP, that whiskey guy, he did overstate that he was going to be running the whiskey division.
He was like, he's going to make me the VP of alcohol, and they were like, he was like, literally never in a million years.
What was that guy's name? JT.
JP?
I think it was JP. Yeah, Craig. But that was Craig being a little naive about the business. I don't think him and JP had clear conversations about the whiskey division. I don't know Craig.
He like lied about the bar for a while. There was like something funky about that.
What bar?
The bar exam.
Oh, yeah.
There was a phase.
Oh, he did lie.
Yeah. I used to hate Craig's guts.
Oh my God. Yeah. Shep called him out in a lie. He said that he put the manila envelope in the thing and he did start the bar process. Yeah. Wow. That's an underrated aspect of Craig. If you remember all the times that Craig lied in the past, I didn't consider him as being a liar, but Kyle kind of used that as like one of the main attributes of Craig to use against him.
Yeah. It's funny though, because I've been on our Turtle Time account a lot today because of all of our West dealings, and we follow like every Bravo person on there. So I get a little glimpse at people I never usually follow. And I'm like, freaking Sam from Summer Winter House is doing a Spritz deal with like somebody. Olivia Flowers is doing like an Aperol Spritz deal.
I just saw that one.
I know people kept bringing up how Kyle got pissed at Hannah Berner for doing a Truly Spritz thing back in the day. I
didn't like that. That's the one thing. I think the piece for me that makes Kyle look bad, because Claudia Oshry is the Spritz Society's, like, she works with the Spritz Society. Her husband, I think, is the founder of it. And she said, which this is kind of bad of Kyle, that Kyle gets all the free promotion in the world on Summer House by having Sierra and everyone who they're not tied to the Loverboy brand. They don't get paid, but they have to drink Loverboy every single second, and he doesn't offer any of them equity. So then when Hannah was like, why the hell do I have to chug Loverboy every single day on season 5 of this? I need to get paid for a sponsorship. That Kyle instantly used that as an unsung reason why he needed to get Hannah the hell off the show, which that's not fair. You should, in my opinion, if every cast member on Summer House, if they're only going to be drinking Loverboy,
they don't have to. They can drink whatever they want.
They're being. I think it would be a little odd if one of them started drinking.
I wouldn't. I don't like those kinds of drinks.
You would be out of the house so fast.
I wouldn't be doing it like from like a pointed like fuck you perspective. I would just be like, I don't really drink those.
Okay. But imagine that you went in there and you had a Twisted Tea sponsorship and you said, I love the feeling of being drunk off Twisted Tea.
Well, that would be different.
But
that would be like a fuck you.
Okay, but
To
what?
me, Kyle is the king of the house, and the entire show is buoyed by his success. And so,
All
I'm
right.
serious. I'm a cuck for Kyle. I think that like he is the cog that makes the wheel go round.
Okay, I love Kyle too, and you'll never catch me ever saying anything bad about Kyle. I'm fully almost on his side on this Spritz Society thing. I
He
think
also
that,
is like furnishing the house with free alcohol.
yes, that's so great. But I do think if Jesse Solomon and West come into the house and they're like, wait, okay, yeah, I love Loverboy, but like I want to drink something else, and you get a side eye for that. Why not give them all 1% equity so that they continue to chug Loverboy and they're responsible for the success and they feel committed to the Loverboy ethos? I know that you don't want to give out points, but they're like, this is a pretty sacred group of people. 8 people, great cast members. They've been there through everything, and all they do is drink Loverboy on camera. I let them have a little piece of the pie.
But the cast rotates.
Okay, he wouldn't.
And who knows in what direction it will rotate.
He could give equity to everyone who's been there for over
Forever?
one season. Yes.
No.
This is wow. I mean, I think this is a very, like, for me, it's good for,
But they'll do it for free.
right. So that's
And
he's
but
getting
he's
away
giving
with
he's
something.
the Bethany clause. Bravo's the one making the money. So like Bravo's the one taking the cut, which is like
Yeah.
on behalf of the whole show.
All right, maybe Kyle is like, okay, Bravo takes the 30% cut. I have no equity to share. But I just think that if all of the cast members are solely drinking Loverboy and they're brand ambassadors for this product, I do think there's something to be said about maybe giving them a little bit. You just think that because it's free alcohol and they're being nice to Kyle that they don't.
I mean, we'd have to get into the facts and figures of what happens when he starts doling out equity. It sounds like they're not in a position to do that right now. It's like a full Shark Tank situation.
Okay. Dole out equity. I think it might be a little too much. Kyle, he can let us know. I just found some merit, or it made me sad.
Well, it's just a different business model. Like the Spritz Society or whatever is like an influencer based model where they're just using all these different people and they're paying them through their equity or whatever. But like Loverboy is an established brand. So I assume whenever I don't think they even have an influencer like program.
They certainly don't. No, I'm just kidding.
But also, honestly, I had to tap out of that entire thing because it was like the dirtiest corner of the internet. Like people hate Kyle.
Yeah.
People hate Claudia Oshry and her entire family for like down and dirty reasons. And I'm like, I don't want anything to do with any of this. This is all a nightmare from hell.
Right. Well, I'm able to look at it pretty high level. I understand. That's in the comment section. I try not to let, I don't let that get me down. You know what I mean? I know what you're saying. It's a very rough spot here, but I just think that I'm still undecided on, because when Kyle feels aggrieved, I usually agree with him for the most part. But now this Craig and Paige element where I love Paige and Craig too, like as a viewer. And so this is the one, I would say the one time for me where I'm very divided in how I should feel, and I want a lot more. Well, if this dies down, then I won't care anymore. But I would like to know more about this. This to me is really interesting because my favorite type of conflict is when I love both people and I don't know where it went wrong, so I can kind of decide. Like this isn't so clear cut for me. So that was what was interesting to me.
Yeah, I am surprised that he was as upset because I feel like Craig isn't even fully baked into, like, if it was someone on Summer House, I would more understand because you're part of my thing. But Craig's a little removed, so I was surprised that he cared so much, especially since like seemingly everyone on Bravo does spawn for some sort of a summer drink or whatever.
Yeah.
So I was surprised that he cared that much, which made me feel like there was more to it. You know what I mean?
Me too. Yeah. I mean, and the more to it is what's interesting to me. Like, why was Kyle ready to write off Craig? I mean, those are big words.
Yeah.
To call him a liar. I mean,
also, I thought it was weird that in some of the Spawn videos, it would be like Craig by the pool and stuff. And in one of the videos, he cheerses Shep with the spiked seltzer. And I was like, the last time we saw Shep, he was like saying that like his
Yes.
life was in absolute shambles from alcohol and that he needed to reassess. And I was like, do we want Shep involved in your promotion of booze right now?
Yeah, we probably don't. I didn't see that. But yeah, no, we don't. I don't think we do. That was probably someone, that's why I think maybe the marketing team on Spritz Society, they're happy to get into the Bravo world. But Loverboy is so entrenched in the Bravo world that they know the ins and outs. And that might have been a misguided attempt at not really knowing, Shep's backstory or whatever, and just being
they
like.
They could have given him a Loverboy non-alc.
Yes. Oh, they should give Shep a non-alc?
Yeah, the Sober Boys.
Oh my God. Shep promoting non-alc Loverboy with Carl. It's very close to our dream of them doing the Sober Boys podcast if they were both non-alc people. Do you think that Kyle holds resentment for Craig getting drunk as hell at his wedding and possibly breaking furniture? And maybe Craig was drunk off like twisted tea or something and it made Kyle even more pissed?
Yeah, maybe. We'll never know the deal with that.
I think that is one of the last lingering mysteries for me is I want Paige and Craig to do a, front-facing camera video where they fully explain
like
what
Ashton and Mila.
Ashton and Mila. Oh, when they defended Danny, or they didn't defend. They said, "Why the hell did we defend Danny Masterson?"
Yeah.
I want that, but I want them to say, "Here's what truly happened at Kyle and Amanda's wedding. Craig put a lamp on his head and then broke the lamp, and then he accidentally used one of the bedrooms as a toilet." And then he had to get kicked out. Something like that.
Yeah. I do kind of want Paige to have to answer to that. Not that it's her problem to have to talk for Craig or whatever. But I feel like she gets to because this came up on the season. She kind of, because they're in different cities, the only thing they always have to answer to is whether or not they're moving forward, to which they never answer the question. And I'm kind of like, she gets away with a little more than like the other couples.
You mean, wait, why? Why does she get away with more?
I don't know. Like, I feel like if someone else in the house had that storyline happening, that would be a problem.
I think so too. Yeah, I think so too. I think that it is making it more and more something deeper and bigger happen by them not talking about it.
Yeah.
Just say Craig got really drunk. He fell, whatever. He fell asleep on the couch. And then when they tried to wake him up, he started screaming at the top of his lungs because he was having a nightmare or something.
I need to know, there's so many things that happened at that wedding. Like potentially Lindsay Hubbard tried to jack off Austin Kroll over McDonald's or something.
Was that the wedding?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. And then also, wasn't there a Rachel Leviss, or was there a Rachel Leviss story or a Taylor Ann Green?
I don't know.
One of them, well, sorry to lump them both together. They're not at all similar. I'm sorry. There's one story that I'm missing where someone tried to hit on a significant other. I think it was, God, sorry to not get the facts right. I think it was Rachel. Why would Rachel be
Why would she be there?
I don't know. All right. This is like now I'm entering.
Who would she be with at that time?
All right. There's some story that I have in the back of my mind, but we can have that verified by the little turtle cuties. But it sounds like there was a lot of stuff that once the cameras went down, a lot of chaos happened, and I would love to know the full story. That's why they should have gotten a special.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to the reunion. I hope some form of that comes up because I hope they don't just let it slide that Lindsay revealed that Danielle was the one that leaked the story, which she has confirmed.
Yeah. She said what I witnessed was too egregious that I had to tell Page Six.
Yeah, she said she confirmed it.
She said that she had to confirm it. Well, good. Well, you and I don't know how we always do it, but 30 minutes of news is perfect. Let's take a little bit of a break. I'm going to take a certified turtle piss break, and then we're going to talk about, this is the schedule. We're going to talk about Vanderpump Rules, the reunion part 3, and then we're going to talk about last week's episode of Summer House for everyone who did the Summer House challenge.
Yeah.
And then unfortunately, Valley has to take a back seat this week because Amy and I do not have the time to dedicate to the Valley, and I personally didn't have the time to absorb it the way I should have. So
yeah, we were partying with West. I'm wearing my t-shirt that he signed.
Yeah, can I see what his signature looks like? Because I haven't seen it.
It includes his old football number. He says he does it for old time's sake.
That is so sweet. So it says West Wilson, number 29. And then when we gave him his shirt, he said, this is like when, I don't know sports, so he corrected me, if people can correct me, sports fans, but he said something like, this is what it's like to get like a jersey when you get signed to a football team.
Like drafted.
Did you hear him say that?
Yeah.
And I go, what do the people who give you the jersey do, point at it? And he goes, yeah, you should point at it. So it was kind of fun. It was like we inducted him into the, Turtle Time army, right?
Yeah, he's our quarterback.
Yeah, sure. That's one of the things on a
tight end
football team. What was he on football?
I don't know.
Okay. All right. Well, let's take a certified turtle piss break, and we'll be right back with Vanderpump Rules commentary.
Sweet.
We're back.
Hello.
Amy, we're getting rich as hell.
The orders are coming in.
Are you excited?
Yeah, I'm thrilled.
Let's buy a 24-pack of beer. And then what else do you want to buy?
A buzzball.
A buzzball. You just told me what that was last night. You said it was a big ball of margarita that you can get from a gas station you can start drinking.
Yeah, it's nasty.
I've never had one of those.
I wouldn't recommend it, but I think it's a fast track to being inebriated.
Are they able to market as a margarita?
I think it had some fun language like marg, or like I don't think margarita is like trademarked.
No. Yeah, for sure not. Yeah, I was like, is it so far removed from a margarita that Buzzball can't even call it that?
I think it was like limerita.
Is there a reason why I have never ever heard of that in my life?
I feel like once you see them, you'll never unsee them.
Are they at every gas station?
Yeah, and they're littered on every street in LA. You'll start seeing them everywhere. They're all in the gutters everywhere.
How could that be real and true?
It is.
I've lived here for almost 15 years. I've been to every gas station in Los Angeles. I swear I've never seen that. What is something wrong with me?
I have a text thread with some friends where we started joking about buzzballs, and now we send photos every time we see them on the street, and it's like every day.
Can I be in that once I start seeing them?
Yeah, send me.
Is the group only buzzball photos?
Pretty much.
All right. Okay, I want to be a part of that.
Buzz buds.
Okay, well, good. I'm going to drink one of those right after we get done, and let's buy one with our new earnings.
They have one that looks like chocolate milk that's called chocolate teas.
Wait, how big are they? Because how could I not be seeing big balls of liquid at a gas station?
Well, the little ones are like baseball size or smaller, like tennis ball size. And then they have a huge one that's like $30. That's like cantaloupe size.
Yeah, the one you showed me was huge.
Yeah, they have little ones. They're historically little. The big one is like, I think, more recent.
When I'm able to get drunk again, can we have buzzballs together?
You'll regret it.
Because they taste like shit?
Yeah, I think they make you feel bad too, but...
Will you go to Jax's Studio City with me, but drink a buzzball in the parking lot beforehand so we can get a little buzz before?
For sure.
Thank you. All right. I want to ask you, Amy, because we haven't really talked about it. I think I know possibly your sentiment, but when you were watching Reunion Part 3... uncensored and unfiltered and completely, raw, uncut. What were you thinking as you watched the end of season 11 of Vanderpump Rules? I mean, I want to say before we start that this has been the absolute opposite of the fanfare and fun at the close of season 10, even though that was a very tragic thing, Sandoval, but it could not be more different in terms of how I think the Bravo fan base is reacting to the end of season 11 versus season 10.
Yeah.
So just to say that up front, how did you feel as you watched this?
I felt like drained, that it should have been 2 parts, not 3, that it felt like a chore to watch it, and I'm glad that it's over. Okay.
I knew that some of those thoughts would come out, and I felt the same way for half of it. I was like, why are we talking about the summer moon blocking shit?
Yeah.
Why are we talking about Jax when he's not here for like 5 minutes about Jax and Brittany? Like, I was just like, this is not what would make a good part of a reunion,
Yeah.
And then I only, just to talk about it very generally, I only started to perk my ears up when we got the final, which was unexpected for me, the Tom and Ariana conversation, the like face-to-face as you can be on a reunion, like them actually saying sentences to each other that they were both responding to. That
Yeah.
was like that was a shock to me.
Uh-huh.
And then the La stuff is kind of like a red herring. It's just like kind of a mess.
Yeah.
Like just kind of like made it messy and weird. So overall I was like, this is pretty bad. And like, you're right, this could have been edited out. A lot of this shit could have been edited out. The La talking about Britney and her nanny drama or whatever the hell's going on. But then the Tom and Ariana thing, for me, I was like, which I don't know if you felt more like you were just like bogged down and that didn't hit by the time you got to it. But for me, I was like, damn, I mean, this is hitting hard. If if it had been 2 parts and they closed out with that and they kind of just edited around that La garbage, we would have been like, God damn.
Yeah.
Like Ariana and Tom talked to each other. We got the apology. We got her reaction. Like, it ended well, but it's a lot of garbage to sift through to get to that one very powerful scene.
Yeah. I think they could have made a strong 2 parts and then just add the dregs to the Secrets Revealed or whatever.
Yeah, and you told me, I didn't get a chance to watch Secrets Revealed yet, but you said there were some, secrets,
there are a couple like interesting things that like were alluded to on the actual season, and then you see that they had more to them fully, but you know, it was nothing crazy.
Is it at all, does it give a whiff of flop that they decided to not usher in Secrets Revealed in a traditional way where we would have gotten one more week of Vanderpump Rules content, and instead Andy goes, hey, by the way, Secrets Revealed is on Peacock.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Since when do they do that?
Right.
Usually they want to extend the run of a show with a bunch of shit. I think that this season was so lackluster that they're like, who's going to watch the Secrets Revealed from this shit?
Right.
Because if this stuff was on the cutting room floor, you know.
Yeah. Well, it's also an easy bone to throw Peacock, which I feel like they're doing now even way more than they did a year ago, you know. But yeah, the only thing I want to comment on is that Sandoval like was really trying to get his little jokes in here and there, and Andy like loves it every time.
Yeah. Yes.
When they talked about Jax, he goes, what's your relationship with Jax like today? And Sandoval goes, nothing below the waist. And Andy was like, ha ha ha. Yeah. I was like, really?
Yeah. And Sandoval has a real gleeful expression as he gets these sexual, related jokes off.
Yeah, like he did it last week about him and Sheena. I think there's another one later in this.
About Katie.
Yeah.
He goes, we need to go fuck each other really quick
before we can out.
So I wanted to ask you, because you're right to comment on this. Is this a new, like, is sex humor in his repertoire new for Sandoval, or has it always been there? Oh, I want to say that there's a dog at Amy's home, and we trained it to bark whenever he thinks something's funny.
Yeah, when he agrees.
So whenever you hear a dog bark, it means that they are laughing at something we said, or they agree completely with something we said.
Totally.
So wait. So do you think that? I think that he always had sexual humor like this, like nothing below the waist, or I got lockjaw from whatever he said. I spit out a.
Yeah.
But I think that maybe Ariana curbed more of that kind of humor, and now he's gleefully loving that he gets to do all of this sex humor that he wants to get off.
Yeah.
But it seems a little out of character, right?
Yeah, maybe it's because he's been so like, I don't know, unable to joke because everyone's like, shut the fuck up. Like, you know what I mean? That he finally feels like he can add little flourishes, even though they're not particularly funny or charming. But I think that's his effort to be like, I'm back.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Andy really gave him, like you said, he tilted his head back and he slapped his knees like it's a really funny thing.
Yeah. Lala talks about Brittany yelling at her about her babysitter and calls her Kentucky Muffin, and Lisa's like, hey, that's what I call her. Yeah,
well, just to be on that for 1 second, why did Lala bring that up?
I don't know.
I mean, it came out of nowhere. Here's one recurring theme of this reunion that I found to be kind of annoying. Everyone was like, what's Lala's take on this?
Yeah.
And every single time, it's like has nothing to do with Lala. It's like, I don't know why it became a part of the Vanderpump Rules, ethos that Lala comments on every single thing. Like I
Right.
felt like I said, I think the first reunion, her output to what she generates on the show versus how much she talks at the reunion is completely skewed.
Yeah.
And then I felt like this was her. She wanted to have a moment here talking about her baby shower and how Brittany took a babysitter from her or something. I was just like, what? Why did this make the final cut? But then like they didn't have time for the Schwartz and Katie having that like beautiful, you know what I mean? It's just
Right.
like I didn't really understand what Lala was trying to do there.
Yeah. I don't know. She was just trying to like make sure everyone was brought down to the table, I guess, to be judged.
What is that? You mean Jackson, Brittany
Yeah.
too?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, I think one of the shining moments that we've discussed is that Andy makes it, what he does make time for is to get clarification on the Belmont bathroom, which
Yeah.
I did appreciate.
Now this was uncensored, so that's why they saved it for this, because it's talking about and Amy and I are gonna say it because they say it, but it's the best. Should we say it? And we never said the P word before.
POOP.
I don't know if we should. Should we just say the best?
Well, that's what Andy said.
So have you said that before? Have you said that word before?
Feces.
Defecate?
Is that worse?
Defecate?
That's kind of weird in the sentence.
All right. Well, I don't know if I feel comfortable saying the.
This is relevant because I just texted you earlier that I listened to Ariana on Disrespectfully podcast.
You listened to the full thing?
Pretty much.
How was it?
It's a slog.
Slog?
Yeah. I will not be listening again.
What?
gotta say.
Okay. Well, as podcasters, I have to ask you, because we're similar to
Well, you
them.
have to just find points of view that you enjoy listening to for an hour, and I will not return.
Okay, wait. You're kind of hitting me with an exclusive here. What? Because I didn't know you listened to it.
Well, I just listened because Ariana was on, and I felt that it was my duty
So
as a journalist
So
to
what's-
report back, and
so-
there was very little given.
okay, all right. Well, this is important. What's lacking in the Katie Dana podcast chemistry that you said no, thank you, no more?
I was like, what makes you different than any person on the street I could talk to?
Wait, what does that mean?
Like,
That
it was just like, anyone can have a podcast,
well, that's
including
definitely
us.
That's definitely. That's it. We
I'm
can't
shocked
criticize
every
it.
day that people listen to this shit.
Right, us, of course. But I want to hear from you as someone who we do this. You know, like what did Ariana not give anything?
I was just like, okay, she was their hot guest, but they're like friends with her, so it just felt like three friends chatting, which is fine. But
Yeah.
like they were just talking about shit they've seen on TikTok,
Right.
like that I've already seen. So I
Okay.
was like, yeah.
So it's kind of like softball, hardball.
Yeah,
But-
Dana was the only one that was brave enough to ask about the reunion. She was like, you probably don't want to talk about it, but like it is our duty to ask. And it was kind of like, you know, she just said that she's unbothered these days, that like she's not willing to go above and beyond to defend herself, to like change people's interpretation of her. Like she doesn't care if they think the wrong thing about her. Like
Yeah.
she's just very passive, and I'm like, that's fine. Like she's a normal human being, which is like good for life, like mental health, but
Uh-huh.
like for entertainment, it's not good.
Well, Ariana specifically?
Yeah, well, I mean, all of them. I was like, I'm not listening to this again.
Right. Well, it's probably because a little bit of what you said. It's like it's the softball corner. Like they're not going to ask any hard hitting questions. But
And they're not particularly funny.
who? Dana and Katie?
Like Giggly Squad, I laugh at those clips. Like
Me
they're
too.
funny. Like they have personality. They're like, I mean, Hannah's obviously a comedian. Like
Hannah's
they
so
have
funny.
a great dynamic. They have
Yeah.
like ping pong back and forth.
Yes.
The way like Trixie and Katya are like my favorite. They're just like funny together.
Do you think they edit though?
Probably. Most people do. We just are lazy as shit.
You have no idea what Turtle Time would be like if we had one person that would cut the garbage from our podcast and cut everything else. Like Turtle
You
Time
get
would
what
be
you
like,
get.
we give we run on fumes.
Yeah.
And we give you those
That should
fumes.
be our tagline.
We are running on fumes. Thank God you listen to us. It's so
I can't
sweet.
even like do my hair. I watched the clips
Look
and
at
I'm like,
us.
I look absolutely horrific.
But I do want to say, we didn't mention this, but Amy's house looks beautiful again. And
Yeah,
we
we're
didn't even
back.
remark on this. I'm sitting on this sacred couch that you and I did so many beautiful episodes of Turtle Time for a very long
Yeah.
time. It's back.
The
It
original vessel.
It feels good. Look at this couch. You got to go on YouTube. I feel so glad to be back. But what we were saying before.
Oh, the reason I brought this up was because the thing that did make me chuckle was that they were talking about TikToks they had seen about tanning salon culture and how foul it is and like the way people act once they're in that little room and do nasty shit.
What?
Well, hopefully you didn't already listen to their podcast because I'm going to say it again, or you didn't already see it on TikTok.
This
and
was
then
on Disrespectfully?
they were talking about
Okay.
a TikTok that I have also seen of a guy that works at a tanning salon and reports on how nasty everyone that comes in is. And it includes like people shitting in the bed.
Why?
Peeing on towels, peeing in the trash can.
Why?
I think it's just like the kind of people that go there are like unwell.
Why do people shit in the tanning beds?
I don't know.
Oh, let's say shit instead of poop when we talk about the.
Okay.
Oh, I said, God damn, I dropped a pee bomb. Let's bleep that out.
But Ariana she was asking the same exact thing, same exact conversation. And Ariana goes, like, how do you not like realize like, oh, oops, that wasn't a toot. And Dana goes, thank you for saying toot, not the other. And Katie had already said what we call on this podcast the F slur.
She did?
She was freewheeling with it.
She says F's on there?
And Dana was like, I hate that word. And I was like, respectfully.
Good. Okay, so Dana got a huge win. You hear that? Disrespectfully? That was fun.
That's the clip we will cut.
Good. Right, are you wondering why that clip was 20
5
seconds long?
stars.
Yeah, that'll be a good clip, actually. Okay, so
And again,
people-
I'm not being like a little
No,
fucking
no.
hater. I'm just like, I will not be returning to listen to this podcast. I'm not in the market for a podcast like
me
that.
neither.
I have a lot of podcasts that I already listen to of people that I find extremely engaging and hilarious. And I don't need to listen to two people talk that I don't like spit take over.
Okay. And I'll go even further. My podcast repertoire is fully filled up as well, so that's why I don't have any room for any newcomers. But also even Giggly Squad and stuff where I see every clip and I go, this is the funniest shit I've ever seen, and I love Paige and Hannah more than anything in the world. I have to watch it in clip form.
Yeah, I'm not subscribing.
But just to end that conversation, so it's not people that just take a huge dump in a tanning bed. It's because they accidentally have no clothes on and their penis and ass are getting
It's a mystery.
baked.
I don't know. The guy was joking that like people that go there, their brains are cooked from going to the tanning bed all the time, and they just do weird fucked up shit.
So they like get out of the tanning bed, they're all tan, and then someone has to take a piss in the trash can after. That's wild. I've only done a tanning bed once when I was in high school when I was 16 years old. Why did I do it?
Yeah.
Because I think this is kind of weird, but like we were trying to be cool and be tan, even though we lived in Florida and we could have gotten tan by standing outside for probably 30 minutes. But I think it was just what we heard maybe cool people were doing or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then unfortunately they didn't let me take a shit in the tanning bed. So they,
You left.
yeah.
Well, Ariana is also from Florida, right?
Yeah. So many.
And she said she used to go all the time in high school. Which, PSA, she got skin cancer, as we know.
Who did?
Ariana, remember she had like all that melanoma removed from like, she has like a scar on her chest and she always posts about it.
I didn't know that was melanoma.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Be careful out there.
Be careful out there. Wear sunscreen. Wait, yeah, she's from Florida. Schwartz they all have like a Florida journey. There's a lot of Florida State energy on Vanderpump Rules, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about this shitting, the best bathroom to take a shit in West Hollywood. Andy goes, I gotta hear more about the Belmont. What makes this bathroom particularly good for taking a shit? And, oh, sorry, I should say skip forward if you don't want to hear this kind of talk. But
I mean, blame Andy.
Blame Andy. Yeah, but we talk about the, like, I don't know, knowing a secret good bathroom. Like I'm kind of interested in that stuff because that's stuff I think about. And Schwartz lays it out. They have 2 bathrooms at the Belmont. One is for people that everyone thinks they have to use. That's where they think like the people who go to the Belmont. But then there's also a VIP room that if it's not in session and there's nobody that's a VIP that's in there, you can still use that bathroom. But people have that thing where they think you can't break any rules and like you can't like,
or they just don't even know because you have to go maybe like further down the hall or something.
yeah. So he said it's huge. It has better toilet paper. You can lock
Fully
the door.
locks.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just can't believe that made it into the reunion, but it's like the kind of thing that like you and I would just talk about randomly, which I thought was kind of silly.
Yeah, no, I appreciated that detail. I was like, if it's going to be 3 parts, at least bring up the bullshit like that.
Yes.
You know?
That was a good use of 52 minutes of the uncensored version to talk about the Belmont.
Yeah.
Do you want to? Oh, I was going to ask.
Yeah.
For like a Patreon
Go check
thing.
it out.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have to do what they said, but maybe we can say the best bathroom to do a certified turtle piss.
Yeah.
And you and I go take turns in the VIP bathroom and give people the scoop.
Where is that again?
Belmont.
Where?
Oh, we've asked this, and I think it's like, we've asked this before. I think it's we'll look it up.
Okay.
I don't remember, but in West Hollywood.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's
I'm down.
Greg's bar.
Oh, right.
Okay, then they talk about summer moon blocking garbage.
Yeah. There's like a little bit of a history of like Sheena brings up that she's always had beef with most of the girls on the show, and they show a little montage. And then like Brock, I feel like Brock was like emotional kind of about this. Like he like agreed. But then Ariana was like, we all get torn up in the comments. Like it happens to all of us. You got to just like not read that shit basically. But I will say overarchingly that like I kept waiting for Ariana to like turn a corner and be more mad at Sheena. And she like really never does.
No.
Like even after the, we're going to get there, the like last 10-minute reveal or whatever it was. Like, she's upset about it overall, but kind of more towards Lala or like the situation itself. But she kind of like, I feel like Sheena's unscathed by the end.
Yeah.
I kept like waiting for it to go down, and I was like,
no.
I feel like they're okay still, but I don't know if that's true IRL.
I think it is. I think Ariana gave Sheena a lot of leeway. I think that Ariana, like, if you love Sheena, like, you just take things she does with a grain of salt, and imagine the things that Ariana has had to deal with Sheena as her best friend over the years. And I think what Ariana said, Sheena is family. I feel like Ariana feels that way.
Yeah.
Sheena, she knows that deep in her heart, whatever Sheena is upset about, frustrated by, it comes from a place where she loves Ariana. I say that like unequivocally.
Yeah.
I think that she loves Ariana. She's sad that Ariana is distant in her life while Ariana is having the best time in the world, going on Dancing with the Stars, going on Broadway. Sheena feels not a part of Ariana's life, and she's bummed out about it. So Ariana understands.
Yeah.
That's what I felt like that whole thing was. But Lala does not have that friendship with Ariana.
No.
Lala admits at the very end, she's like, I don't even see Ariana. And I'm like, so then why do you fake like Ariana means something to you, or that this matters at all to you? You don't even like Ariana. You're not friends.
She doesn't care. But yeah, so like...
one thing about that clip is that when they were showing the montage of everybody hating Sheena, because everyone has, they could have even thrown Schwartz in there where he was calling her a bootleg Kardashian.
Oh, yeah.
They could have shown Sandoval. Like, everyone has hated Sheena at a certain point. They feel like they can walk all over her. I was so surprised to see the Lala one where Lala was like, I don't think this friendship is working well. I don't want to be on this journey. That was in 2021.
Whoa.
Yeah, and I was like, damn. I was like, this is like a new friendship too. As of 2 years ago or 3 years ago, Lala was saying like she doesn't want anything to do with you.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I know. I feel like they've really gone back to the like vault for a lot of like they've been having to do so many throwback clips that like I'm seeing some that I haven't even considered.
It's time for Alex Baskin to do and Andy Cohen and Bravo to do the full Diamonds and Rosé on Vanderpump Rules. Now is a great time while the break is happening to have the definitive book of all of the shit that like we don't know. Like it would be one of the best books in history. Yeah,
bestseller. And then this is where Sheena said that she already felt distant with Ariana before this season, and then obviously now she's like so busy and whatever. And Ariana was like, also when I'm going through something, I tend to distance myself, which I feel like was true before too.
Yeah, and then Sheena goes, I've even heard from some of your other friends that you distance from them, so I just, I accept that I'm just, among your close friends that you do this to when you don't want to be around people.
Right. And then they talk about, like they bring up apples and how she thought Sandoval would like it and the, whatever. And then they bring up Brock supporting Tom, or kind of like being like Tom is like, thanks for kind of helping me get back in the mix. Like that was very helpful to me. And even Ariana is like, she still likes Brock, and she said that he helped her a lot too. And I was like, I didn't expect that.
Yeah. It's a little bit of like, what's that called when like she's not going in on anybody except really Lala.
I kind of feel like she just wanted to take like
The high road?
Not even the high road, but more like the like path of least resistance, to just like let it all slide off so that she can like walk away and move on. Like she was like, I don't even have the fucking energy. Like she had to do 2 shows the next day, she said.
She did?
Yeah. She flew immediately home and like had 2 shows the next day. So I think she was literally like, okay, like I'm going to fly back to New York in like 3 hours. Like just fucking get through this. You know what I mean? Like she couldn't leave it all on the table.
Yeah. But she got it. She gave it up for the Sandoval and Lala moments, I'll say. Yeah. But I just think that she just doesn't, I think she is walking back the sentiment that she said all season, which was that if you even wink at Sandoval, you're out of my life. Yeah. And I think she has moved past that and doesn't want that to be a part of her story anymore. And it is telling Brock and Sheena in so many ways that I'll love you, forever. And that's not the stance I'm going to take anymore, Yeah.
Like even if someone implies that there was a rule in place, she kind of says that she never said that, but I'm like, well,
yeah, I think she evolved. She evolved from that, and she by the time the finale happened, she told Sheena that she was never a part of that rule. Yeah,
I'm just like, it's the kind of thing. Maybe she's just over it too, because like I really am like, I can't talk about this anymore. Like that whole thing.
The Sheena, Sandoval, Ariana.
Yeah, like just like, who's gonna like be nice to him? Like, is she participating enough? Like, she showed up but like doesn't want to talk to him. Like, should she do more? Like, I'm like, I literally have nothing more to say about that entire bullshit. Like it's like an inauthentic version of life. Like, there's no reason they would ever be together. Everyone's just confused about how they're supposed to act because they have an agenda to get paid. Like, so everyone's just like miserable. Like everyone's just being forced to do something that doesn't really make sense. They don't know how to navigate it. They get in trouble. Lala gets in trouble for trying too hard, which like she's being annoying, but like it is sort of an impossible assignment. Then it's like Ariana gets in trouble for not participating enough, which is also an impossible assignment because it's a nightmare. Like Sheena's torn in the middle, losing her fucking mind that she's not pleasing everyone. And then there's just like all this little bullshit around the sides, and you're like, this is not sustainable or entertaining, quite frankly.
Yeah, you're right. And it kind of negates like 70% of what this season was.
Yeah. Oh, and Ariana, the one thing I will say about Disrespectfully is that they kind of like came down on the show. Like all of them were like
really saying
that the fact that they saved the last few minutes as like a reveal was a real like fuck you to Ariana, as like a not gotcha. I think Katie used that word on the reunion, but like she was like the only one that would have an unfavorable reaction to that scene would be me. Like she was like, that was a reveal for me. Everyone else already like saw it.
Yeah, but it is good that she saw it.
Right, but she was like, it was obviously, in her opinion, she said, they didn't get my reaction, they didn't get my tears in the room, so they forced me to watch it in a room that I had to contractually be in and couldn't leave.
Ariana said that? Mm-hmm. Oh my God. Well,
they called the season boring. And
Katie did too?
They were like agreeing. They were all like basically like saying that it was like a bad season.
You buried the lead on that.
I just remembered.
Whoa.
Yeah, I was dealing with the shit in the tanning bed first, but yeah, I was kind of surprised. Like I was like, oh, are you like trying not to come back? Because like I feel like they're gonna listen to this and be like, oh, you hate the show.
Yeah. Well, Ariana's holding the power in that situation because they really have to cater to Ariana to get her back on the show. Because if Ariana leaves under pretenses like whatever the fuck Jeremiah or whatever say that was the reason, fans are going to be pissed.
I know, they're like so screwed. Like the fans are so rabid right now that like any choice they make where like if Lala is favored, they're fucked as hell. Like if Ariana isn't like put on a pedestal, they're fucked.
But fans are fickle as hell. And if Ariana is on such a pedestal now that if in season 12 she says one, shitty thing to, I don't know who she could say a shitty thing about, Kyle Chan, the fan base could just fully rebel against her. I mean, we saw this happen on Summer House.
Yeah.
Just this season. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like Ariana's not safe forever from the fans.
No. So yeah, we'll see. It just was giving like not trying to play, like even, I mean, Katie was saying that stuff too, but they were both agreeing that like they said that neither of them ever play up plot lines for the show. Like they always just participate at face value.
Yeah.
And they were like, sometimes there'll be certain things that are like a little like for fun, like you kind of like gang up together and play things up a little bit. Like I would assume that would be like the Tory thing or something like that. That like, you think that's like a fun little, almost like Kardashian-esque storyline that's like funny. But she said that she never like goes out of her way to rehash something or like play it for camera or whatever.
Okay. Katie said that, and Ariana.
Yeah.
Okay. That's cool. Well, the one thing I will say, because, that's a huge thing, that if Ariana felt surprised and that she had to react in real time because they didn't have her reaction, if she says that, I agree. But for me as a viewer, it was interesting to have to watch, Lala and Sheena and Sandoval, how they reacted in that heightened moment at the end, because everything Sandoval said, you could tell he was embarrassed by watching it back.
Like he was like, "Oh, this isn't gonna look good."
These fuckers, they fucking hate her, or she fucking hates all you fuckers. It was so funny too, and Lala too. Lala was like stone faced as she watched the footage of
Sheena looked terrified.
Yeah, it was worth it. So I know I get what Ariana's saying, but for a viewer, it was great to watch them have to react to themselves in that heightened state when they were like talking fucking shit about Ariana. And then they have to account for those words right in front of her.
Yeah. That was, she said on the podcast that she was like, well, I cried. Are you happy? Like she thought that they just like,
when did she say that?
Like about the, like forcing her to, watch that and then ultimately talk to Tom. Like she thought that they were just like under any circumstances necessary gonna like bleed a stone of like making her upset.
So she said, "Are you happy that I cried?"
Yeah.
Undisrespectfully.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Also, so they Sandoval and Katie kind of have a back and forth because I think they ask about how Katie felt her marriage was affected by Tom Sandoval hating her guts and like whispering into Schwartz's ear, and Schwartz was like, it never affected my opinion or whatever, which like, I mean, I think he had his own fucking issues with her anyways, but it didn't help certainly.
No, Sandoval has to accept that if you're telling your friend that their wife sucks and they treat you like shit and everything they do is ruining your business and all this shit, like that, you can't help but take that into account a little bit in your marriage. Like it is so right for Katie to think that had something to do with like their rocky relationship.
Right.
Sandoval's just there whispering in his ear, your wife treats you badly.
Yeah.
She sucks.
Yeah. And then they're going back and forth, and Sandoval's like, well, how do you treat people, Katie? Like blah, blah, blah. And she then says that Sandoval hasn't treated her humanely over the years. And I think this is when she tells him to choke.
Yeah, I didn't understand how that was edited. She just said choke. I don't care.
Yeah, she was just like, you don't deserve a response, basically. And Andy said, your chemistry is undeniable. And that's when he goes like, yeah, we're going to go bang it out. And everyone's just like, ugh. Yeah,
I was like, not from you, Sandoval. Please don't make that type of joke. I always do find it interesting that Katie and Tom Sandoval have hated each other's guts for the entire run of Vanderpump Rules. It's so funny that they can be cast members on a show for 11 seasons and just dislike each other. Like they find no merit to each other.
No. Not at all. And then they get to San Francisco. I thought this was a little bit interesting because they're talking about Dan and how
Yes.
he went, but he didn't go to everything.
Yeah.
And Andy, it was funny because you can tell when Andy starts to like, he sits in the producer seat where he's like, yeah, why didn't he like go to shit? Like, you know what I mean? Like he's sort of like, he should have participated.
Yeah.
And Ariana was like, well, he didn't get paid. And Andy was like, well, Brock didn't get paid at first. And it's like, well, yeah, but he like wanted to weasel his way in. So he was like willing to do whatever necessary.
Yeah.
If Dan's goal isn't to be on the show, he doesn't need to play ball.
Yeah. I just have to say, sort of from like casting producer standpoint, my brain on that, I don't think you can appear on camera and not get paid.
Interesting.
Dan
Or
probably got paid $900 to $1,000 every day he was on set. If she means didn't get paid like a normal cast
Yeah.
member and he got the worst fee you could ever get in non-union fees, then I understand. But I really, if he appeared on camera and was a vital part of season 11 and had major plot lines centered around him,
Yeah.
you have to pay him.
Yeah,
If
like,
if
speaking-
non-union contracts have that loophole, then I'm like reality reckoning pills.
Right.
Like
No, I'm sure he got like the minimum.
no, but so then Ariana should have revised. He got $1,000 a day.
Right.
I'm just saying I don't think legally you can appear on camera and not get paid
Yeah,
unless
she
you're.
should just be like, it wasn't worth his while.
Yeah, but for me, this whole thing was a little bit of like he went to 3 events. Like
Right.
I don't even know. I said this at the time. I was like, why make this a big deal? He went to the Kyle Chan thing. He went on the trolley ride.
Right.
He went to 3 events on like of your 2-day trip.
Yeah, like he was at the big finale thing.
And then I didn't like, I'm very sparse in my criticism of Ariana just because overall I think she handles herself well. But I didn't like when she said he doesn't want to be on this show. That gave me a little hint of Randall when he was too good for Vanderpump Rules. And Sandoval was like, yeah, fucking right. Like
Yeah.
these guys.
I'm like,
who
that's
don't-
why he tags you on Instagram like 40 times a day.
And I'm not even saying.
I'm just saying.
It's
It's not like he lives like a reclusive
not like
life.
He's not like a Satchel who never touted his claim on
No one
Vanderpump Rules
ever
at all.
could.
No, Satchel was, I'm in, I'm out, you'll never see me again. I will never tout my experience.
Yeah,
No,
I'm just like,
I'm
don't
not
act
saying
like he lives like a nomad.
But I'm not saying that about Dan. I'm just saying I just do not like when the Vanderpump Rules cast members cast aspersions on this show like Dan is like this Bravo hating guy.
He's too
that's like,
respectable.
yeah, I'm just like, come on. What? Like we just saw with West and Jesse, they came onto a Bravo show. They have no fucking clue what Bravo is, and they are celebrated. They love this experience. Like, why would you denigrate Bravo?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and
Well, I guess I can understand why she would, at this point in time, want someone that has no interest, whether or not he actually does have no interest. Like, just because she was dating like the number
Yes.
one Bravo guy
Yeah.
for 10 years, and she's probably like so sick of it.
Yeah.
Like she's like turned off by that desire.
it struck me like I remembered that like a bolt of lightning, the La thing, where when Randall was still a mystery, and she was like, my man doesn't like this kind of stuff and doesn't
Yeah.
want to be on this show. I was like,
Until
we
he
saw
did.
Randall loving life. He was rolling
Yeah.
around like a pig in shit on Vanderpump
Yeah.
Rules.
She said on Disrespectfully that
Oh, wow, this is like, whoa! I am listening to disrespectfully.
she said that she had to like beg him to record FaceTimes. Like when they would have FaceTime calls, she'd be like, please, can I record this? They're begging me to like include you more. And he'd be like, I don't want to. And she'd be like, I seriously need you to, because like my job is at stake.
Even if you're the coolest guy in the world, which I think Dan could possibly be, like if you're the coolest guy in the world, you don't know Bravo, like wouldn't you just do it? Like,
Yeah.
like hey, even Kelsey Grammer sat down for a confessional.
Well, he wanted his wife the fuck out of the house. He was like, please entertain my wife
I'm
so I
just
can
saying,
fuck off.
Dan, are you better than Kelsey Grammer, one of the best humans on earth? It's just why, like, for all the reasons in the world,
Oh my
why
God, don't even remind me of that. That like is the best shit ever. He's wearing like a Jax sweater
Who,
in
on-
his
on-
sit down.
yeah.
And he's like talking about how he's doing La Cage aux Folles, and it's just like, oh, the best. I want to go watch it right
Well,
now.
what I remember is that Kelsey Grammer doesn't seem to know what the show is because he's talking about Camille as a housewife. Like he's like, she's one of the best housewives of all time. The things she does around the house, he thinks it's literally a show where you document housewives
Yeah.
at home and what they do.
That's how like Yolanda was too. Like David Foster is like,
Yeah.
my wife makes
God.
me chicken with lemon.
Speaking of the ultimate pieces of shit in the world.
Ugh. Did you see his son, his small toddler son with Catherine McPhee is a drumming prodigy?
Oh boy, you know I will never watch anything to do with
I'm
David
gonna
Foster
send
again.
it.
All of a sudden I see a preview and it's like it just says it has a little boy with
A
over
little
drum kit.
drummer boy.
No, I don't like that. I think David Foster is one of the most despicable humans
No, he
that's ever
sucks
been captured
ass.
on film.
Yeah.
So do you get it all what I'm saying about the Dan thing? Like,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right,
I
all right.
just,
I'm not out on a limb. Like,
No, there were a lot of things that like that was one thing I wasn't outraged about. I didn't really give a fuck. I mean, even her leaving the party at the end, I didn't give a fuck about.
You mean watching over again when she went to Applebee's?
Yeah. But no, like I never cared.
Yeah, me neither.
But which is why I'm a little bit like, she keeps being like, I delivered the most like astonishing drama you've ever seen. It was so much more entertaining for me to leave than to have had a head to head with Sandoval.
Yeah.
And I'm like, the only part that was like wild to watch was that everyone was so pissed about it. Did I understand why they were so pissed? Not really, except for that I think they thought like, well, that's done. Like we have nothing, which isn't necessarily her problem, but I disagree that it was like a thrill to watch her leave the party and go to Applebee's.
It's sort of, yeah, it's
I'm like, it was authentic.
Yes.
Fine.
Yeah, you don't have to go fully to the realm of it was an iconic ending. Although if they would have, I think, done a 10 to 20 second clip of them all actually at Applebee's, like doing a shot and drinking, that could have been one of the most iconic endings ever.
Yeah. She also clarified that, people were trying to stir up that it was a fuck you to Chili's, even though the timeline doesn't really align.
That on
She said, I
Disrespectfully?
love Chili's. I would never.
So the war is over.
Yeah.
So Applebee's can try to court us on their side, but we officially know now that we can go to either restaurant. Because I did a full boycott for a second on Chili's because I thought the fan base was going to Applebee's.
Yeah. She said that the Applebee's happened to be open at that hour and that apparently that location is the second largest Applebee's in the world.
Which one?
San Fran, I guess.
So like
I think Times Square is number one.
you and I, not to make this about us, which why would I ever, but we should go to a place that has an Applebee's and Chili's right next to each other and do both and try the food and just definitively
Yeah.
declare which is better.
Run back and forth.
You just run back and forth and keep getting different stuff.
Yeah. Okay. I'm down.
All right.
Okay, so then we get the moment where they ask about Schwartz asking Katie if he wanted to like rot in bed together, like look at their phones or whatever. And they ask what Katie felt about that. And she's like, she gets kind of like giddy or like, she's like, that's my favorite activity. Like she almost was saying like, it was almost too good to turn down. Like I love to do that or whatever.
Yeah.
And they're talking about how people say that she's going to be the one that got away for Schwartz. And like, does he regret it? Like breaking up or like, does he agree with that or whatever? And he's like, so like teary eyed when he starts to talk about it. He says like, he said that he thinks they made the right decision. Like he doesn't regret it, but that he misses her.
Yeah.
And like, they had great times together. And it was like, I was like, this is what's been missing. Like, I was like, I need like some like fucking heart.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was beautiful. He's crying. He said, like, I'm at peace now, but that doesn't mean that I don't still miss you every day. And I cry about it sometimes.
And she's touched. Like,
Yes.
she's like, oh. And then she says she didn't regret it either. And that it was the best.
It was
Look, I have a film of glow of tear right now. Thinking about it.
I don't think you've ever had a glow of tears since we've been recording. Have you? Have we ever cried?
Maybe. I don't know if I've said that.
Oh, right. A
But
glow of
I've
tears.
maybe felt it rise within me, but I'm just like, we're so starved for like sweetness.
So what would you say really was the rationale for including the like Jax update versus a teary, heartfelt proclamation of no regrets love for your significant other between two cast members who divorced a year ago?
So that wasn't on the,
No.
I only watched the extended.
No, that was an extended exclusive.
Which is like, we talk about all the time that they also gave them the cut on season 10. Their like divorce shit was cut.
Can I give Schwartz his flowers a little bit?
Yeah.
Because I feel like for being an underutilized part or an underrepresented part of season 11 overall, I mean, he's great. He had great moments. He's a supporting cast member. He's always good. You could point the camera on Schwartz, and he's going to do something fun. But
He's down to clown.
I thought all of his moments were pretty touching. This especially at the end when he has that beautiful resolution. Like, I feel like he was well calibrated emotionally. Like, he was a little bit of a stinker, I remember, in season 10 about some shit with Katie, but I felt like he had a good overall, what's the right word? A good overall demeanor about the entire proceedings, and had a wistful look at everything.
Well,
I really
wonder
enjoyed
if he
it.
was like also, I don't know what the exact timeline was with like the stuff with his brother. Like, I feel like that was a really intense like situation that probably made him very emotional generally about the people in his life.
True.
Like, he just did a post like in the past week, like writing a paragraph about his brother who got, liver transplants and like almost died and stuff. It was a very nice, as we've discussed, he's good at words, well-written paragraph that I feel like, I don't know, whenever anyone has a big health scare or like near-death thing, like I think you get kind of softened, and I felt like I'm not defending, I'm not a male sympathizer.
Wait. I don't even think like defending Schwartz is not like
people hate him
still.
I think I don't know anymore, dude.
It doesn't matter. I think we all need to move on from what Schwartz has done and whatever he was doing.
Ariana's not even mad at him anymore.
We can't be more outraged by him than Ariana, who seems to be like doing better with Schwartz too.
Yeah. He said that he still has the Bubba tat and he'll have it forever. They were like, someone says like, oh, I thought you covered it up. And he said, no, never.
Because I will never laser that off my butt.
And you could tell that Katie was like, good.
Yeah.
Like, I like that.
Me too.
I think it's nice. I'm like, I mean, obviously like Ariana is like, my whole life was a lie. I didn't know you were capable of that. So I understand why she has turned and will probably never see Sandoval the same way again. And that's fine. I get that. But like, Katie could have a bad opinion of Schwartz at this time. And she still like gives him shit, obviously, all the time. But I like that she's like, that wasn't a waste of time. We like spent like great years together, and she thinks of them fondly despite everything we've seen.
Yes. No, it was sweet. Everyone needs to watch the uncensored version where they have a tearful, beautiful, heartfelt moment together. Yeah. Then you want to skip the Sheena sound guy shit?
Yeah, they really wanted us to know that sound guy needed to be there.
Yeah. And Andy was like, how did you do it? All the sound equipment? I mean, you were able to get that? And they were like, yeah, the acoustics were shit. And we had to overcome so many obstacles with the cables. And it's just like, all right.
He was like, this wasn't like any normal, like it wasn't the Viper room. I was like, I don't fucking care.
And then Sandoval was like, even the 27s, they didn't know what the fuck they were doing there. They didn't even know how to set up a mic. It's like, okay.
Yeah, right. Sheena was like, I almost had to cancel because whatever. Yeah. I was like, all right. Anyways.
Then we get
like a balloon.
Always high. Never ever low.
I didn't expect them to play the sweet clips too, which I love that almost every single person cried because they're all been like through the fucking ringer.
When they cut to James and James is bawling, I'm like, okay, James, I forgive you and I love you forever. Like they're watching moments of them fighting and screaming and crying to that beautiful song, and they're all touched. Sheena,
we should make a clip show of photos of ourselves over the years or over the past 1 year.
No, it's just clips of us like this on the couch where we're smiling. Rising high, never ever. I mean, that song, you could put anything. You could put people going to the Belmont toilet over and over again.
You need to add it to Instagram.
What? No, that song.
I want to add it to our Instagram stories.
Yes, for sure. So they show it, and this is what we already talked about it, but seeing their reaction to Lala reacting to knowing that she's going to have this screaming, hatred towards Ariana at the end was funny to watch in real time. Like, just how pissed they were. Sandoval really and then Ariana says this later. It's like you did exactly what I thought you would do. You spiraled out of control. And so they watch this live, they're crying, they're touched, it's sweet. You know, like I understand why they're watching these moments and being touched by them. It's beautiful.
Also, like, I feel like Schwartz implied in his nice speech or whatever, where he almost like is kind of like, who knows what will happen next. Like, I feel like the point of that montage when we saw it and for them watching it is the potential that it's the end.
Yeah, but then, you know, I read this interview and Alex Baskin was like, yeah, right. It was never supposed to end. I can't even believe that anyone would ever think it was the ending.
Well, then what the fuck is next, dog?
We said it was like, yeah, seriously, we said it was like, and he said it could be read as the end of like a chapter.
Uh-huh. Well, they're going to have to do something.
Vanderpump.
Yeah.
Rules. For season 12.
I mean, I don't even want to think about it. I need a break.
we get a huge break, and we get a huge.
They normally would be filming like next week.
He said again. Alex Baskin said in 1 week we would have gone into pre-pro. Oh, I wanted to say something that I already forgot, which is in terms of Sheena and Ariana's relationship. You know how we said Sheena got, you know, seems like she's in the clear. I think, unfortunately, from what I see on the periphery, that it doesn't seem like Ariana and Sheena are doing the best, because I feel like Sheena would have been at something about her the minute, like she would have been outside with us when we went that night, you know, when we waited out in the kind of that rainy night when we were waiting for it to open and we had to leave. I feel like Sheena would have been first in. Yeah. And the fact that she hasn't been invited speaks, you know, to me that maybe there is a rift that got widened after the reunion.
Isn't Schwartz the only current cast member that has been? I saw that somewhere.
Oh, I didn't know that. I guess I saw
Stassi by the other day, and like there was a photo of him and Terry, Katie's mom.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, like Stassi was there, Lindsay Hubbard was there, Andy Cohen was there, but I haven't seen. I mean, he went to those tastings, but I haven't seen a photo.
He needs to hand out those Sloppy Joe shirts that he commissioned. He needs to give those away for free or pay people to get them.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I feel like anytime one of those people would go, it would find its way to our page.
Yeah, but well, do you think, like, I don't know. I think there's some evidence to assume that maybe the rift continues between Sheena and Ariana, even though from this reunion, you would think maybe they're good.
Yeah. And then Sheena was like, wasn't she doing more shit with Ariana's brother without Ariana there? And there was like, they had his birthday at Jax's.
Yes.
With the Toms.
We haven't talked about any of that shit, and we can't today. But yeah, I mean, they're all
we
kind
almost went, and then we didn't. I didn't have time.
I know, but it's okay. We're going to go back someday. Okay, so we're at the end, and then Andy goes, well, what the hell did you think of that? And Ariana, I forget what she says right after. She goes...
She said it really hurt my feelings. I think specifically the Lala stuff.
Oh, and remember, and Tom Sandoval's reaction when they get to the point where he's licking his lips.
I killed them all, of course.
He goes, what did you say?
I killed them all, of course.
Yeah, when he licks his lips and he goes, this is good for me. I love this.
What's good for the goose is good for the gander.
And the gander is really happy right now. It was... And then I forget what Andy goes, did that make you sad? But Sandoval, he has the reaction that I would expect, which is that he's embarrassed by what he did. He shakes his head. Yeah. Like, why the hell, Sandy? It feels like he's trying
to get ahead of it, where he's like, the camera's on me. I have to show that I wish I didn't do that.
But he shook his head in embarrassment. Yeah. That means he does not like what he did there. Yeah. He doesn't own that behavior. That villainous behavior. He acknowledges it. Isn't it him acknowledging that was a stupid thing to say and that he doesn't concur with it anymore?
Sure, but do you think it's more that he doesn't want people to see him that way?
Yeah, no, for sure that. It was like I guess you're right. It was for the audience to say, I no longer concur with that villainous sentiment that everyone read correctly was a villainous statement.
Right. So does it start with her being like, you know, you showed me your true colors when you did that, like you showed that like you really just wanted a moment with the audience or whatever, and that's when he's like she said both on the podcast, I think, and on the reunion, now I'm getting confused, but she said that they wanted a Tom crying in
Yeah, right here.
Okay.
Yeah, she says it. He says, "You know me well enough to know that this ain't acting." And I think Ariana rightfully goes, "I don't know what the fuck you're ever gonna do for the rest of your life." Like, why would he keep saying, "You know me"? She obviously.
Well, he was trying to like get in under the armor to be like, we go back, remember me?
Yes, for sure. But she has every right to now admit to the world that she doesn't truly know him because she never would have thought that he could do something like this. So I just don't understand that angle, but I get it. I get why he said it. But she's rightfully like, I don't believe you.
Yeah.
I don't know you anymore. And then she says something which I thought was very touching, very sad. She says, "And when you didn't get what you wanted, look what you said about me." And it's true. The minute that, like, that's what I was saying about this season. I could not believe that Tom Sandoval wasn't pulling a full-blown Charlie Brown head down, like, sad every time he saw Ariana with tears in his eyes because of how much he hurt her. Instead, he had that, in his mind, righteous fury towards her, indignant, petulant shit about her. I was like, how do you not know? Like, how do you not take the hurt that you caused in? Why is your first reaction, God damn, I hurt someone really bad? And she says, "This is what I knew you would do. Look at how you spiraled out of control when you didn't get what you want. You said, she fucking hates you all. She sits on her lazy fucking ass." It was like, she was like, "This is how you think of me."
Yeah, she said, "You prove me right."
Yeah.
And then this is where she's like, "I just want you away from me. I just want you gone." And she's like, "I just didn't want to be forced to talk to you." Like, she said she participated in a lot of scenes, but she didn't want to be forced to talk to him. He goes, "But that's our job." And this is where she brings up that he was in the living room when she was in the kitchen after San Francisco, and he never approached her. Like, he never like left her a note. He never tried to communicate. This is where she said that the show wanted a crying in Miami moment with me. And he's like, "But he's like, one of the main facets about me is that I'm emotional." He was like, "I have brown hair and brown eyes or whatever, and I'm emotional," which like is true, whether or not people think that he uses it as a manipulation tactic. We've seen him cry like a billion times.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna give him credit in a second. But I did like that Ariana references the lore of the history of Vanderpump Rules in saying that she knows Tom Sandoval well enough to know that he wanted the crying in Miami moment. Like, I just love that they are so self-referential that they know like the pivotal scenes. Yeah. And she knows that would be a tactic he would use because that did change people's minds. I remember watching that live, and seeing how he was so heartfelt crying to Kristen. I was like, damn. Yeah. Tom Sandoval. Like,
I mean, that was legendary across the board because it was peak, like, in quotes, crazy Kristen, where the second that they had that moment, she went, "He wants me back and I'll get him."
Yeah. No, and I love that she references the history of the show and what Tom Sandoval probably wanted. And you have to assume now, knowing how manipulative Tom Sandoval was, that he did think about that. Mm-hmm. He thought about having a scene like that. Yeah. In my opinion, I do think that is a scene that he would reference to think he could get the audience back on his side with.
Right. And then that he gives her an apology. He said he regrets it every day.
Yeah, people don't like this. They say this is a crocodile.
Yeah.
This is your crocodile tears. The mask, he put the mask back on, all this shit. I have to say, I think this is a heartfelt, genuine apology and the right apology finally to give to Ariana. No buts. I mean, I was personally touched by it. Were you? Or do you think that he was just trying to pull the wool over our eyes again?
I mean, I believe that he fucking regrets it. I mean, his life sucks. You know what I mean?
So if he was high on the hog like you and I right now, you think that he would never give this apology to Ariana? You don't think that he would?
I mean, I don't think he's like fucking heartless. I think he regrets hurting her. Like, I believe that. Like, but I think more than anything, he's like, he goes on to say,
Yeah.
Powerful quote.
Yeah, he says I'll say some of the lines because it's long, but he says, I just want to say that I'm sorry. I'm not asking you to forgive me. I know you won't. I know you don't want to be around me, and whatever. This was the I think the best point of the apology was whatever our relationship was, the good and the bad, no matter what it was. You didn't deserve that, and I'm really sorry. And I think that is the point that he has been trying to make, that if you could see the hell Ariana and I were living with, you would absolutely admire me for running out and cheating or whatever. And he finally let that aspect of it go.
Yeah.
He just said, you did not deserve this at all. And I was like, okay, good. Finally, this is like the 100% apology. Whether or not you think it's real, this was the right apology to make to Ariana, in my opinion. This is a good apology.
Yeah. And then she brings up that that he brought Rachel around in a fucked up way.
Yeah.
And that now this bitch talks about me all the time. And you can tell he's like, I know, like, didn't see that fucking coming.
That was another. Well, first, before that, he says, just so you know, I regret this every day of my life, and I will wear what I did to you as a badge of shame for the rest of my life. I was like, damn. I was like, all right. I mean, badge of shame hits pretty hard. To add that to the apology. And then I love what Ariana did, which was, it was so awful to Rachel to refer to her this way, what you just said. It's like, she was like, and then you brought around this person, she says, this bitch, that all she does is talk about me all the time now. And then Sandoval agrees. He's like, I know. Now I know that I brought the worst person into the world.
That's just like the greatest flub of it all, is that like not only did they betray and lie to her for 7 months or whatever, which was like already so fucked up and terrible if that was all that it was. But then it exploded into like multiple lawsuits, a podcast where she rehashes every week and like talks shit about both of them.
Yes.
Like she has to be in court to talk about like the sex tape that she discovered. Like it's like never ending. And it's like, that Sandoval is like, are you fucking kidding me? Like this could have been over so long ago, but it's never ending. And now they have to deal with the headlines every single week for when she does her dumbass podcast.
It's like the way Rachel was referred to, I was just stunned by that. The way they are talking about her.
I feel like if anything, it's
troll.
Maybe the only thing they could like agree on.
Yes. Yeah, like that bonded them. Like, God damn, I am so sorry that you have to deal with Rachel on Bethany's podcast and now on her own podcast. And then that's when Ariana just says, I just want you to be away. I want to be away from you again. She says it. And Sandoval, he's like closing arguments. Yeah. He's like, this is probably the last time we'll ever talk. In his mind, he's thinking that. He's just like, I just wish you the best. Mm-hmm. I will give you your space. We have our lawyers. They'll take care of it. I understand.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
Yeah.
You apologized. You said, I'll never talk to you again. And you said, I understand all of the hatred and all of the emotions you feel towards me. I understand. Boom.
Yeah.
It's done. That is the end, probably, of Ariana and Tom.
Right. This was in the unseen footage, but it was kind of interesting. They bring up an unseen season 10 clip where Katie talks to, I think she's talking to Lala and maybe Sheena too, that Tom and Ariana portray their relationship as perfect. And Lala, it's like a precursor to this season because Lala goes, then why aren't we talking about it? Like basically like, why isn't that on camera? And Katie says, we're not allowed to talk about it. And I thought that was interesting because it gives Lala an inch.
Yeah, it does. Like Ariana was rolling her eyes, so I was like, let me take this into account. But I mean, what would Ariana and Tom do if, I'm like, wait, maybe we're seeing in real time what Ariana would have done if Lala did broach this. But I'm like, why? Like, I don't know. Were Tom and Ariana so powerful, like in Vanderpump Rules history, that they could like end your career if you brought up that you guys like fought somewhere? Right. I felt like we saw bickering of Tom and Ariana. I didn't think that their relationship was like God sent perfect for
Yeah.
the entire run of Vanderpump Rules.
Right.
They had a lot of arguments and stuff, but I did like that. I liked seeing that unseen footage because Katie acknowledges like they don't put their shit out there on camera.
Right. No, that was interesting. And it was interesting that it wasn't like needed at the time.
Yeah.
You know? Let's see what else. Lala spouting off about the platform of the show.
Yeah.
That like it's given her so much opportunity, and like, you know, that she was like, why does Ariana get to dictate how this entire thing goes down? And this is where Ariana says, I don't think I'm Beyonce. I don't think I'm God. She says that she cries alone. She doesn't like make a scene. She cries in peace. And this is where she says that she made the end of the season more interesting, which you can give or take.
Yeah. But Lala said, you know, like it's hard to talk about this Lala stuff because I don't like it. Like I don't care what Lala wanted. Like, I don't care what Lala wanted. Lala would be the worst producer in Vanderpump Rules history. If your legacy on Vanderpump Rules is any indication of how you would operate and run this show, then it would be the shittiest show in the world and would never have gotten past one episode. Right. So I don't care what you thought Vanderpump Rules should have been because you're not even good as a cast member on the show. Very much at all. So it's hard to even for me to like get into it. But she wants to break the fourth wall, I feel like, because that's the only avenue she has left to make compelling drama of this whole thing. Because you, no offense to you, but you provided water tasting and a sperm party, and you got too much sperm all over Lisa's house, and you had to leave. And I'm just saying, you tried. You failed. So then you had to rely on Ariana for the climactic moment of the history, and you thought that Ocean wasn't going to be able to get fed anymore if Ariana didn't have a pivotal scene with Sandoval. I'm sorry, if you can't do the job, you don't blame other people for not doing the job better than you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm sorry to be pissed. And then I also hated that James gave her the damn. She goes. And I'm pissed, and I stick by everything I said. And then James goes, damn, that was hard as hell. Hell yeah. I'm like, why are you giving credit to?
I feel like
he didn't say anything against Ariana. So why are you now meekly saying, I agree with everything Lala said? You didn't say any of this shit.
Yeah. I think that like she is speaking something that other people are too afraid to say. But it can't be all that you have.
Brock said it.
I think it's mostly just that the show is broken, period.
Yeah, it's true.
Like she's trying like to like carry the corpse of what is left. And she's like, we can still do it. And I'm like, no, something needs to change.
Well, Lala can't do it.
Yeah.
Lala can't do it. But I mean, Sheena and Brock are talking about the conflict. Brock is outwardly saying all this stuff. Like, Sandoval, of course, is saying this. Schwartz said, Ariana, you're not the god of the group. Like, they all voiced concerns about this.
Yeah.
It's just that Lala wants more, so she's not out on a limb with this egregious take.
Right. When they were talking about them hiding the state of their relationship or whatever, Ariana like kind of says under her breath, like, we were in couples therapy, like, and then Sheena's like, I had seen them have like highs and low lows, like sometimes they'd be fighting, sometimes they'd be making out in public, and Sandoval was like, I mean like rolling at a music festival.
Yeah.
And Ariana was like, that was rude.
Yeah, the only time Sheena saw Sandoval and Ariana rolling around was when they were on Molly at Coachella.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that was enough for them, just like once per year.
Yeah, and then Lala's like, you said stuff off camera. Right. You said stuff. And then she even does a walkout. I don't even remember when the walkout was, but she tries to walk out. She's like, does that happen?
I think that's around here.
Yeah, she's like, she's accusing everyone of not being real, right? I don't want to skip too far ahead.
Also, I thought this was kind of interesting because Andy brings up Lisa having left Beverly Hills, and this is where she says, you go to the reunion to reunite, and I didn't want to reunite with any of those bitches, so I left. But she does defend Ariana here and say that she has shown up throughout the season. Yeah. Which, like, ultimately, especially when you watch the secrets revealed or whatever, I was like, she's all over this shit. Like,
Yeah.
they filmed her a million times.
Yeah, she went to everything. She had her own storylines. She just didn't give you the one thing that you thought the season rested on. I do think Lisa knows that she'd be called the biggest hypocrite of the century if she even chastised Ariana for 1 second. So I don't agree with Lisa on her reunion philosophy. That was a huge deal when Lisa didn't do that. Andy absolutely hated it. He brought it up at the reunion. It was not at all, like, I think she got fired probably because she missed the reunion.
Yeah.
And I think that Lisa has a little bit of rose-colored glasses about what she was doing there with the reunion. She just didn't want to face the wrath of everybody.
Right. And then...
Does that mean that dog agrees?
He agrees. And then, she's like, Ariana should respond to texts more. That was like her one throwaway recommendation.
I liked that. I liked that Lisa goes, when someone texts you, it is good to get a response because then it makes people realize that you still like them. And I was like, oh, did Lisa start to get mad at Ariana because she missed 2 texts from Lisa and left her on red?
Yeah.
And I will say, like, it was nice because I thought Lisa kind of had this like unsung rift with Ariana, but I do think she gave her, that was a huge credit to Ariana to vouch for the walk-off.
Yeah.
And then Schwartz says too, I think around this time, but he says, I understood the walk-off now. In hindsight, I totally validate
says it was
you.
Earned.
It was earned, which was great.
Yeah. Then Sheena asks if Ariana understands, like, generally the frustration that they all expressed at the end of the finale or whatever. And she said she understands essentially the sentiment, but not the insults.
Yep.
And then she starts crying, like, pretty intensely. And then she kind of, like, leans over onto Katie's shoulder and, like, she's supporting her. And then in a moment of comedy, her hair gets stuck to Katie's jewelry and they're all laughing. Andy tries to help. It's, a moment of levity.
Yeah. And then I want to give a shout out. My friend Rachel, who worked on the reunion, you can see her for a second. She comes over from the left-hand side, and I almost think Rachel was the one who was able to get the earring. There's 2 people helping out, so I don't want to give full credit to Rachel if she didn't do it. But the minute Rachel got over there, they were unstuck, and I was very proud of my friend. I thought that was very fun.
Kudos.
Yeah.
Kudos.
What'd you say?
Kudos.
Oh, kudos to that. And then, okay, so then we're after the break, right?
Yeah. So Andy says, Sheena thanks Lala for being her rock throughout the season.
Now, why?
You can tell she's terrified of Lala.
Now, why? Now, this is people will care about this. So Lala went out on a limb. No one wanted to go fully with her. She's doing walk-offs. She's talking about how she still agrees with everything she said about Ariana being Beyonce. And then Sheena decides, she's like, I'm not supporting Lala enough. I gotta support Lala more. So I'm just gonna talk about Lala and how wonderful she is with the last couple minutes of the reunion.
That should have been on the cutting room floor.
But so what's going on here? Is it because now Lala is Sheena's ride or die, and she feels like she might have left Lala out on a limb too much, so she has to give her flowers so that the audience doesn't absolutely hate Lala after this?
Yeah, I mean, obviously on the finale, that's what was happening. She goes so out of her way to be like, you are not alone in this, like, to the degree that it was, like, weird, where she was like, I hear what you're saying and I agree. You are not alone on this topic.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to leave you on a limb. And then she says this stuff. And then at the end, not to skip ahead, but they have a little addendum kind of at the very end of them, like, in the dressing room or whatever, or like right when they get up from the couches. Sheena's like to Brock, she's like, she's still mad.
Yeah.
I think she's still mad at me. And Brock's like, you fucking said enough. Like, you went way out of your way. And she's like, I don't think it was enough.
Yeah.
And I was like, does she, like, know something about you? Like, what's happening?
That's why I was really surprised, because when she got up, which, we're almost there.
Yeah.
We spent a lot of time on this.
Yeah.
When she got up, when she goes, I think she's still mad at me, I thought she was talking about Ariana.
Right.
Well, once Ariana saw that shit, she's talking about Lala. Why would Lala be mad at Sheena? Sheena just sung your praises the entire time, did a full 2 minutes dedicated to how wonderful of a friend you
just
are.
Just because of that one backtrack where she said that potentially Ariana was as supportive as Sandoval.
I guess. It reminded me of when Sheena couldn't even look at Lala for 1 second because she was because Sheena was Katie's Bridesmaid, so she just like wrote Lala off completely because she didn't want to disturb at all the relationship. I felt like there was a little bit of this where Sheena feels like she's on thin ice with Lala, and if she doesn't redeem Lala in the eyes of the fan base, then she has failed completely, and Lala will never talk to her again. Sheena, if you have a friend like that, that's not a good friend.
Right.
You don't need to be on tiptoes singing for your supper with your friends.
Yeah. But they're like locked in. They own homes next to each other. Their kids are BFFs.
Well, that's why people feel like they can walk all over Sheena, that she has to like really beg for their friendship, for them to not write her off forever. I thought it was very odd that Sheena just made a 2-minute speech about the wonder of Lala at the end of a reunion where it seems pretty clear that Lala kind of had her ass handed to her.
Right. And then it kind of wraps out. Andy says Katie seems lighter. She jokes that she can't wait to meet Schwartz's new girlfriend, implying that she would like make out with her.
Yep.
James reveals his Vegas residency. And then, this is where Schwartz says his nice little speech that he loves everyone and that they are family. He says to Ariana, he's like, I know we're not in the best place, but like, I love you or whatever.
Yeah.
And even she's like, she doesn't crack a smile, but you can tell that she's like, okay, fine.
I loved that sweet Schwartz, we're family. I know we all talked about this like a job, but you're family and I love you. And then James said the same thing. He goes, I agree with Schwartz.
Yeah.
That was sweet. I love that. And then if I'm remembering correctly, sandwiches come out.
Yeah, in the toast is something about her sandwiches. And I was like, Peter and Ken?
Yeah.
And in the most bizarro, fucked up world that we are in today, it is Kyle Chan and Anne.
So what did you think? Because I know I didn't think too much about it, except they were kind of like, they were on the periphery of the season. What did you think when Anne and
What
Kyle...
has Anne done for Andy? He like can't get enough.
I'll say, I think Anne had a very strong start. 3 episodes of wonder, and I think Andy saw the reaction to Anne, and he's like, I love this. I want to be a part of the Anne fandom, and I think he's still riding high on it at this, in this stage.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I just wanted Ken and Peter back.
Yeah, me too. And then Sandoval goes to Anne, he goes, you're going to clean up my underwear later. And then he goes, haha, just kidding.
His jokes are so bad. And then, so then after rap, you get like Lala in the dressing room with Sheena. She's still pissed. She's like crying.
She goes, this shit is unfair. She goes, when Lisa, she goes, I am so pissed at Lisa for defending Ariana about that walk-off shit. When I was in season 9 or whatever the hell it was, going through the ringer about Randall, Lisa was like, well, you lose them, how you get them, and a leopard can't change its spots.
Yeah.
And she was like, where's that fucking energy for Ariana? She's like, this is not fair. And I'm like, I'm sorry. Well, in my opinion, there is differences between what Ariana went through and what you went through with Randall. Yeah. I'm sorry that you can't see the world where people thought Randall was always a piece of shit that was going to leave you and cheat on you. It's just different.
Yeah. And then, she says she wants to go bake her baby in peace. Sandoval, on his way out, he says to her, he's like, respect, dog. You killed it. Respect.
So after the end of a reunion, if Sandoval comes over to you and says, fucking respect, you did a good job at the reunion.
I'd be like, oh no.
Oh God. Sandoval just said he respected my performance.
Yeah. And then there were a few things in the secrets revealed. I just want to say up top that they sort of paired them off similar to the after show, and they're kind of funny. The only funny pair. The other ones are expected, like Sheena and Lala, Tom and Tom, but James and Katie.
That's fun.
I was like, who would have thought?
Yeah, I do. Do you think this is my only down and dirty stinker moment? But if Vanderpump Rules was a traditional cast, like a Housewives cast, do you think James would be demoted to friend of?
Like this season specifically?
Yeah.
I mean, he was pretty tangential, I guess. Yeah. But they just played, I don't even like to say it, but they played the clip of Sandoval ranting at one point, I think, to show that they never got along. And I forgot about the whole thing where Katie gets James fired when he calls her fat.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's just wild to watch her love him now, because like she hated him even more than Sandoval potentially. Yeah,
they have a beautiful reconciliation in season 8 or season 7. Season 7 might be the worst of it, but around season 8, they have a beautiful reconciliation where James says, I can't believe how bad I treated you. And they finally forgive each other. And it's really sweet.
Yeah.
A very good moment together.
This is good just for the people that the accountant turtles out there, because I know we always wanted all those little numbers, but there's a deleted scene where Tom reads the email he sent to Ariana out loud to Anne.
Really?
And he offered her $600,000 in cash, assuming the house would sell for 3.1 million, which is over the like Redfin or like Zillow value.
Cash.
600,000 cash.
Whoa.
He explains that once she's kicked off and he has to refinance and get a new loan or whatever, used to be around like 10,000 a month, and that it would be like 20,000 a month. And she goes, "Can you afford that?" And he goes, "I can afford it for about 6 to 8 months."
Whoa.
And I'm like, then why the fuck would you do it? You're just going to drain every cent you have.
Because he knows a windfall of cash is coming for him in 6 months.
And jokes that he would have to do a lot of Amazon lives.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Also, he says later there's a scene where he talks about wanting to freeze his sperm, which I'm like, I don't think you need to do that, but okay.
He should.
Why not, I guess?
Just do a couple. I
two
would
or
do
three.
a couple. Yeah, I froze mine.
And he said that, you know, I think Kyle Chan is like, "Oh, so you do still want to have kids?" And he's like, I'd like to have the option, which is one of the main reasons I want to have that house. But I'm like, guess what? You can't fucking afford it. Like, in no world can you afford a $3 million house by yourself, you psycho.
I don't want to say it again, but I know how Tom Sandoval can make a lot of money. It's just sitting there on the table for him. He could have it at any time.
The book.
Yep.
There's a deleted scene of Schwartz and Joe eating Olive Garden breadsticks.
Did we, just to say for a second about Joe, did we have an episode after the Joe is a full-blown pathological liar information was revealed?
I don't think we've talked about that. Yeah, there have been like 5 different sources revealing that Joe is a major liar.
The Joe lies her ass off about everything, about babysitting Alex Baskin's kids, about doing Aaron Rodgers' hair, and then also lied about like huge things, like telling Tom Schwartz's family like lies about him.
I know.
Sounds,
I want to know more.
Yeah, it sounds very bad, but we don't have to talk about that now. So
yeah.
is that
last thing I'll say is that Dan has an Android. Do with that what you will.
Whoa, you know, I know 2 Android users now in the universe of Bravo, Dan and I think Janet's husband, Jason.
Oh, wow.
Because Jax keeps making fun of Jason for having an Android, which is very funny.
You
know, they're suing. The Justice Department is suing. Well, this might be wrong, but they're suing Android or Apple for having a monopoly, and they're saying you can't make Android's text color that disgusting green because it makes everybody so embarrassed when they text an Android user knowing that shitty color green is on their phone.
You think they have a case?
Yeah, because I swear,
but it's like
when I see that ugly color green, I go, "What the fuck is happening on the other end of this phone right now?"
But isn't it because blue is iMessage?
Or
that technology is like not a thing at this point.
So the UI or whatever, the colors of that, it's so psychologically rich.
It should be poo brown.
Yes. No, that's what they want. They're coming close to shit colored text messages, and that's what the Justice Department is mad about.
They have better shit to do.
They've got a lot of better shit to do. They're doing Ticketmaster too.
That would be good.
That is good.
Get it before the new Beyonce tour. Okay, the last thing I'll say after that is that I told you this before we had microphones, but in San Francisco, the dress up party was indeed originally a murder mystery party, including they had name tags, like binders with scripts, and it had the old timey like iMovie, like sort of like silent cards that were like murder.
I don't know what's worse. A unexplained Great Gatsby party or a murder mystery party that you had to edit out completely for the finale.
No, yeah, they all had like, it turned out Katie was the killer in the end.
No.
They had literally like, it was like Roni where they were like, I'm like Josephina Justice or whatever.
So Brock not only wanted to do one of the biggest tropes in Bravo history, he wanted to combine them and do 2 of the biggest tropes in one night.
Yeah. So thank God, I guess, that was not a thing. But
so it's almost better that they just left it under, like, undiscussed why they dressed like that at that restaurant. Well,
for
good.
sure.
Well, thank you for watching Secrets Revealed. It was just as fun to like listen to it.
Yeah, it was my duty. But yeah, I think that was that, and then we'll come back and do Summer House.
Yeah, you and I think we kind of ripped it up.
Yeah.
I feel very good about what we did here. I'm sure there were some cancelable takes in there, but I think we did a great job recapping that. And let's just take a certified turtle piss break and then come back and just do a little bit of Summer House.
Sick.
Amy, we're back.
Oh my gosh.
And you and I are rich as hell. I swear I think you and I should wear new clothes next episode to show off how rich we are.
Poppers no more.
Poppers no more, because if you're watching now, obviously Amy and I have characteristic 1920s London attire, popper, where I just pulled out a pocket and a moth flew up. You know what I'm talking about?
Have you seen that meme about the kind of medieval shoe that Timmy Chalamet looks like?
What medieval shoe? The one
like
that has the...
It's like a raggedy, like leather one with a, sort of, curled toe.
No, I'd have to see it. Is it what sort of poppers in Poppers is still okay to say, right?
I don't think anyone's gonna get mad at us.
Paupers. I feel like that's
Yeah.
Poppers haven't gotten too mad about being called that in a while.
It's a tweet.
That's what Timothy Chalamet looks like. Who wears these shoes? For the audience who's listening, I don't know.
Pied Piper.
Oh, this is giving so Pied Piper. It's like a corn cob, like wooden shoe with a long pointy end to it. I can totally see
Very
Timothy.
Ren Fair vibes.
Yeah.
Didn't we used to have a bit about a Pied Piper?
Yeah, you said very early in our run that you said that when Sandoval, I think, was playing the trumpet or something, that he was giving Pied Piper vibes, and it was one of our
Pied Piper realness.
And I think it was one of our first clips.
Oh,
that was sweet. Wow,
cute.
Can you believe we've been doing this for more than a year now? Do you feel good about it?
I think we've accomplished a lot.
Me too. Do you think that it's so wild that we've had 50 weeks of 3-hour conversations and you couldn't, with a gun to my head, tell me anything I've ever said at all, except maybe from last week?
No, every week when people comment anything relevant to what we talked about, I don't know what they're talking about.
I love the Patreon when they'll be like, here's how bail bonds work, and because this is what we're dealing with on this week, and I'm just like, what the hell? What were we? We'll be like,
about? Reply #Pied Piper, and then I'm like, what?
For discard pile, there was like #discard pile on the Patreon, and I had to remind Amy like what we said at the end of it. It's kind of fun knowing that like we've said, what's that, 150 hours of content, and maybe someone would go back and someday find joy from it.
Yeah, we should inscribe it into plates and bury them.
Yeah, for sure. Or do when the NASA, I've already said this, the gold record comes back down from space, see if they can etch a little room for one of our episodes.
I told you I have that record.
Right, that's when we talked about it last.
Yeah.
What's on it? Johnny Be Good.
Isn't there like little earth sounds too, like
dolphin? There's a dolphin screeching. There's a kid laughing.
Michael Jackson Thriller.
Unfortunately, they had to get that one back from space. Because what if aliens had heard that and then
they canceled us?
No, well, we would have to tell the aliens. I'm not making light of his cancellation, but we would have to tell the aliens that he got canceled on Earth. So do you mind if we get that record back?
And then they'd get pissed. They'd be like, over my dead body, this song rips ass.
They're going, hee hee. What does Thriller have in it? What does Thriller have? Wait, how's Thriller go? Thriller.
It's close to midnight.
They go, take this from our cold dead hands, you monsters.
And just through the sound of it, they learned the choreo and they were doing it.
Thriller. And we find out that they created a full Prometheus-esque Michael Jackson Society based off Thriller that they love, and we have to say, I am so sorry, but we have to cancel this artist for you guys. They're like
Neverland Ranch.
They like it?
Love it. Bubbles the chimp.
Great. Well,
Did you know Bubbles is alive? I saw that headline today.
How old is Bubbles?
He's old ass. He's giving Planet of the Apes.
Oh, I love it. You and I have not talked on air yet about how we did the Planet of the Apes journey together.
The Planet of the Apes challenge.
It was awesome. Amy and I had the time of our lives with our significant others. We were watching apes 1, Apes 2, and then you went home and immediately fulfilled your destiny of watching the
Yeah,
third.
your unborn child was going,
Yes, it was so awesome. If you have not seen the Planet of the Apes movies, then the Matt Reeves ones or whatever they're called from 10 years ago, they are amazing films.
honestly, I had nary an ounce of interest.
I knew.
I had written them off over
knew.
the past 13 years or however long it's been, and I quite enjoyed them. They're very, like, specifically the first one, but across the board, they're a little bit formulaic, but in, like, the best way, where
Yes.
like you feel smart for knowing what's coming next because it's just like formula to a T.
Yes.
So it's like satisfying.
You feel so smart while you're watching this movie about how apes came to control Earth. No, it's great. And I've heard Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes is as amazing as the trilogy that we just watched.
Okay. I haven't heard that.
Oh, really? People said it's bad?
I don't know. I haven't heard much about it, but we'll have to catch it before it leaves.
Oh, we have to. You and I think we're going to go to the theaters together, hopefully,
Yeah.
and watch Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. But enough about that. And I'm glad we did touch upon that Michael Jackson stuff, because we did say before the episode that we wanted to talk about that gold record in NASA. But now, having said that, let's talk about this episode. It's called From Dusk Till Dawn. And no, Dawn isn't spelled how you think. It's the name of Danielle's app where you can visualize, she said, digitally, your closet.
Yeah.
Put all that stuff on the internet, and then it will come back with the AI generated outfit of your dreams based off all the garbage you potentially have in your closet.
I just looked it up. It has 38 ratings, 2.7 stars.
In the App Store?
Yeah.
So people aren't abiding by the write it, regret it philosophy, and they're immediately saying bad reviews. Wait,
Yeah.
what is it called? We shouldn't talk too long about, because I already did this with my closet so that I could
They
find out
appear
what
to
to wear.
be real reviews, not like I've heard that Lala's podcast reviews are absolute shit now because everyone hates her.
Because, she turned her comments off on TikTok and Instagram. So people are like, I have to get my hatred out somewhere. I must purge my hatred upon your
While you're
podcast."
screening, you're screaming, making an Apple login, doing 1 star.
Wait, I have to say, because this has reminded me, there's a couple listeners who I don't think are abiding by the write it, regret it philosophy, because I say a couple 1 stars came in for Turtle Time. And
Recently?
yes. And
Don't tell me.
I can't look at it. We ask every week very politely if you think something was bad, like the Michael Jackson Dancing on the Moon minute or anything horrible. Think about it for 1 month before you leave that review. If you still feel filled with pure hatred, write it. But I think a couple people are just immediately putting hate-filled comments on our. So I'm just saying, let's think about it, a little bit before they officially give the reviews. But yeah, these reviews are not good for what is it, Dawn?
Oh, wow. People hate me.
No, I shouldn't have made you. I shouldn't have let you look. No, don't look at those. Don't look at those. I just think that we ask of you, please, Little Turtle Cuties and Villa Rosa VIPs. Villa Rosa VIPs would never do this, but just if you have hatred towards Amy and I, just give it a month before you put that bad review. Wouldn't that be isn't that beautiful? But if you have something wonderful to say and you love, I would immediately put that in there and etch it in stone. So just, if you need to spew hatred, just make sure to just, think about it for just a little bit of time before you, put that there. But anyway, enough about hatred.
Yeah.
Let's talk about pure, beautiful love.
Yeah. So it started out with Danielle's launch party. The design of everything is cute.
I really thought this party went off without a hitch in
Yeah.
terms of decor, in terms of the vibe, in terms of, was there food there?
I think. But yeah, I'm a little confused. So it's always been the same app this whole time. This
Yeah.
has been her one main project over the years.
Yeah. Would you use that?
It sounds cool in theory, but I can't imagine that the workflow could possibly be as convenient as you would want, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I agree. And we got to look at those reviews. But I want to say I used it for this outfit today. Do you like it?
Did you use one of their stylists?
No, I used the free version that I'm on that I can afford, it just scrambles up all the items in your closet and puts them on a little replica of your body, and then you approximate that with your clothes.
That's fun. Yeah, I like the idea of like I have an app where it tracks all my packages. Like it like pulls your tracking codes.
That's cool.
From your email, and so you can see everything you have coming at once. Which like I just moved, so like lay off me for my consumerism. But like for the past couple months, I've had like a lot of stuff coming.
You're allowed to buy stuff.
I guess it's America.
I buy a lot of stuff.
But so I was like, it would be cool if every time you bought something online, that app pulled in like, you got something from Zara, you got something from American, I don't know why I said American Apparel, that's like not even a thing anymore, but like it would pull it in. But then it's like, what about everything you have historically? What about like vintage stuff? Like I just have to schlep and like take all the photos myself, upload it, and then like
I think what I saw was that Danielle or someone affiliated with the company comes into your closet and takes the photos.
She comes over.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking at it now. And anyway, I do think that the outfit it plotted out for me was good today. But regardless of if the app is shit in real life, I did like seeing a different side of Danielle, because you and I have been a little bummed out with Danielle's overall performance this season. And I thought say what you will about the app, but I thought that it was sweet to celebrate her for this event. And I really was touched by when she gave that tribute to her mom.
Yeah.
And they showed her mom, like, how like important her mom is to her and how she does this all for her, even though she said that like, you know, like I drive you crazy, but I did this all for you. I was like, damn, this is the endearing, sweet, wonderful Danielle that I love. Yeah. I'm glad that we got a last minute good Danielle scene for us. She
needed it sooner, quite honestly.
She did, because I'm sure the fandom started to wane a little bit on her, but this was a spark of good. And I want to say, as a little tease, I think the finale has another good sort of Danielle. Mm-hmm. Right? Do you remember what I'm talking about? There's some good Danielle coming. For the people who got turned off to Danielle this season, I feel like she almost reclaims, or at least comes out dead even at the end of the season, in my opinion.
Okay. And then we get it's sort of built into this event that we get the A-OK on Jesse's health.
Yep.
What he felt in his nut, to use his words, was calcium buildup.
He says, I've been drinking a lot of milk. He said it was just calcium on the testicles. I was so, we talked about this a lot, how they really like made us work for this, diagnosis or whatever. But I was so happy, like finding out, someone in your life doesn't have cancer. It was so wonderful. It was just calcium buildup.
I love that.
Yeah. So that was sweet. And then everyone like hugs him. They're so happy. Jesse is on, the happiest he's ever been. He's like, I'm unstoppable this entire episode.
Oh, the dog agrees. To the side at the party, Carl explains to the boys that on his way, him and Lindsay's way home after their luggage debacle, that he slept in the other room. Mm-hmm. So like from here on out, we're just getting the information that leads to the end. And I will say it, the evidence is there. Their relationship was bad. They should have broken up. Someone had to do it.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I don't think it's a spoiler to say that. Well, it is kind of a spoiler to say what we knew, but yes, objectively, this was a bad relationship, and they can't even communicate to each other about what they're mad about while they're actually fighting, because their communication is so broken. So they have issues in their relationship that they can't overcome, and they don't even know how to discuss them properly. So obviously, if Carl knew that going into possibly getting married, that's something that he didn't want to have forever in his life happening. Yeah.
I mean, it comes up time and again, and I, without revealing anything about the finale, was just left with like a deep sense of like, why bother villainizing the person that broke off the relationship if we can all agree? I don't think there's any person who could possibly watch what is going on, whoever you blame. Ultimately, I think they literally just want different things. They have different wants and needs. They do not match. They will never agree. No amount of therapy could get them on the same page, because they will never want the same thing. No. And it was a fucking mismatch, which is why we responded so poorly to them getting together last year, why Danielle, even though she's become kind of a wild card, but knows them the best, felt like physically sick at the idea of them getting together this quickly. It's because it didn't work. It never worked. There was maybe a brief honeymoon period when she was sober for him, which was nice of her. Like, that was great and like supporting and seemingly healthy for the two of them. But the second their lifestyle went back to normal, it was game over.
Yeah.
And I'm like, someone had to do it, and I don't know if it was ever going to happen. So the fact that it happened, I think, is good.
Yes, it is. And Lindsay will someday admit that this was a good thing.
Yeah, she's going to be better off.
You said no one in the world would think that this was a good relationship where they should get married. Gabby did.
Well, she thinks a lot of things.
So, we get a little bit of talk, right? Talk at the Donne party. But does anything else happen that needs remarking on before we get to the beautiful, beautiful, I thought, dinner for Jesse Solomon, if you wanted to talk about that. I don't know how, if there was anything.
Yeah, there was a quick check-in with Paige and Craig where they said the exact same thing they've been saying this whole time.
We don't know where it will be.
Yeah.
Should you move here or should I move there? We
Everyone's
don't know.
Like, can I ask you again? If you know what's going to happen there.
Is there any other aspect of this relationship that we can dissect right now at this party that, like, what will people, no one will even care when we find out that Craig is moving to New York. Like, we'll just be like, okay, yeah, I mean, it's your relationship. We knew that would happen eventually.
Right.
Like, it's not even, it's such a odd detail of their relationship to pick apart and scrutinize like this.
Right. It's just a quick detail, but the reason why Amanda and Kyle weren't at Danielle's party is because it was Kyle's dad's 80th birthday, and they show all these clips of him, and he's like an absolute king.
He's dancing his ass off.
Yeah.
He's playing a flute or something.
Yeah, he's just like, I'm like, oh, this is why Kyle can binge drink well into his 40s, because he has great DNA. His grandma just died. She was over 100.
His dad, for 80, he looks amazing. Running around, jumping around, 80 years old.
Yeah.
I was like, it's like a new pioneering 80. I was so stoked to see that.
Kyle said that he meets other people who are 80, and he's like, holy shit, you're close to death's door.
I know. What are we going to be like when we're 80?
Spry as hell.
Well, I'm a couple of years older than you, right?
Just a few.
I have to have my 80th birthday alone and wait for a long time for you.
Yeah, a few years, because I'm so small and a little baby.
All right, okay.
Also, I just wanted to point out there was a very lingering shot of bubbly water at the house.
Bubbly's in. Bubbly's added to the sponsored shit.
I saw it in the Carl's drinking it.
Yeah.
Spoiler, one thing I wrote, he's drinking bubbly during the breakup, and then it's in the credits.
Yeah. Carl, he goes, God damn, a bubbly hits hard after you break up with your significant other.
The best part of breaking up is bubbly in your cup.
I was a little surprised that there was a blatant bubbly ad in the middle of their breakup.
I mean, it's a huge placement.
So bubbly it's the Loverboy of water in the house.
Who likes bubbly?
I don't
like
drink
the
it.
worst one.
I'm a Spindrift person.
That's premium.
LaCroix I'll take, but once you have a Spindrift, you're like, there's no going back to this artificial flavor garbage.
It's like twice the price.
Spindrifts?
Yeah.
Because it's that real juice.
That real.
I love Spindrifts. I always talk about this, but you get that lemon and tea one?
It's good. Okay, so then, Jesse has a dinner. He doesn't know that it's for him, but they have balloon-shaped balls on the table.
But I love this ruse. Before we get to the dinner, I love it. They all drive in a big van, and Lindsay goes, Jesse. She goes, Jesse, my dress is falling apart. Can you please tie it up? And I was like, damn. I was like, what the hell is happening here? And it was just a full ruse to get Jesse to wait 30 seconds while they got in there and were ready to surprise him. I kind of like that.
Yeah, it was fun. He thanks everyone for being there. He does a full rendition of what would Jesse Solomon do. I think the entire it's like cut up a little bit and then but on like TikTok and places you can watch the whole thing.
What was that to the tune of?
Jimmy looked it up. It was like some song from the 80s that I didn't even know what it was.
Yeah, I thought it was so many different songs.
Yeah,
What
it's almost
would
giving
Jesse
like
Solomon do?
believe it or not,
Not
George
yours, riding-
isn't at home.
What's that
So
one?
leave a message at the beep.
Who did that?
That was from Seinfeld, but it's a reference to the song you were
Believe
gonna
it
sing.
or not, I'm walking on
Yeah.
air. Is that
It was
the...
George's voicemail.
Oh, but like everyone knew the tune, and I knew the tune, but I don't know what song that was.
I know.
Is
Jimmy
it like an...
found it, and I was like, I don't even know what that is. Like I wasn't like, oh.
But we all know.
I know, it's so familiar.
Yeah. So he does. I mean, okay. So this rode the line where, like, I think people were kind of rolling their eyes at first. They're like, this could have been cringe when Jesse wanted to sing a 2-minute song to everyone. But his confidence in his compliments, and like the fun song that he made, everyone like starts to get like teary eyed and starts to be all excited about it. And I thought that was really,
Yeah. So West took video of Jesse, and Amanda took video of West. And so, yeah, he said he was like the mean girl's mom. Like, you're doing amazing, sweetie.
He was.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, did it? Yeah, I mean, it seemed like just everyone loved it at the end. Like, they were so proud of him, and it was really sweet.
And it was bespoke. Like, he was like, will Carl and Lindsay make it through the night? And they were all like, ha, ha, ha. And I was like, guess what? They won't.
Yeah, and he had a little, jab at everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun. Do you think he knew? I mean, because did he know he was going to sing a song?
It was prepared.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, he wrote the shit out of it.
Yeah. Did you notice there were other people in the restaurant that just had to like suck it up and hear that?
Could you imagine if we were there eating pasta and all of a sudden we looked behind us and Summer House was filming and Jesse was singing that song?
I'd be thrilled.
And they kind of cut that because it was like the song is the fun of that. It was like it was over after that. But it was sweet. Jesse says something where he's like, you don't truly know how good people are until you're in a moment like this. And I just found out how like wonderful all these people are in my life. And I was like, God damn, Summer House is like so beautiful. Like the friendships and everything that they have. Like they just did like a bonding experience that will never die with Jesse. It's like, it's so wholesome and sweet compared to whatever the fuck was going on Vanderpump Rules.
I know. That's what I always think watching this season of Summer House, where I'm like, it's pure, they love each other and they hang out. There's like every time on the after show, there's footage of like West and Jesse on city bikes, and like they're all just actually hanging out. Like you could, like old times on Vanderpump, walk in somewhere and you see them all hanging out without cameras. And it feels like we have to cherish it while it lasts. Like it feels too good to be true, because it has something like that hasn't existed in a long time.
Yeah, we Summer House is at its, I would say, at its peak right now. Like it took all of those seasons to get to like the culmination of the Summer House spirit, and they're killing it. And I don't want it to go down in quality, but if it's at the top, shit might go down. I
know. So yeah, and then Kyle pisses by the front door when they get home. I think it's in the morning. Sierra, Paige, and Amanda are bed bugs, and then there's a Jesse, West, and Kyle bed, which is super cute. And they're touching base with Sierra about West and how they had that date or whatever. And Paige is like, I feel like they're being cool about it at this point. They're like, I think the ball is still in Sierra's court to a certain extent. Like they're saying, Paige says, you're either at that time right now where you could either shut down and like put your wall down, or you could fall really hard. And so like you have to decide which, and then she kind of jokes like, there's only one of the two options, which I'm like, there's also like the third option where you just like see what happens.
Right.
Like,
right. Where you don't put so much pressure on a relationship, for sure.
Yeah. And then they're joking that she's like, he's just a jokester type of guy. And then Amanda's like, and you're the biggest joke of all. Like, what if at the end of the summer he's like, psych, joke's on you. And she's like, I'm literally gonna cry. She like kind of does cry imagining it.
Yeah, that he was just playing
they're
a
all
prank
like
on her.
cackling.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I felt bad for Sierra there.
Yeah, it's just like, we'll see. I feel like we're gonna get more intel on like what happens, but I'm just like, it really feels like two people that are afraid to move forward. And it's like, I know people want to like put the fuckboy seal on West or whatever. And I'm like, we'll see what happens. Like, also maybe he does want to be a fuckboy, like, which like he's allowed to do if he's not.
Yeah.
If they don't come to an agreement about the way that the path forward, then like that's disappointing. That sucks. Like we wanted to see their sweet romance, but like,
I mean, I will say I went from, the most hopeless romantic about this relationship to now even I don't think at all that they're in a relationship anymore. I mean,
but it's like we haven't gotten to the point yet where she went home to wherever it was.
Yeah,
Montana.
I know. I don't know what happened. Like it did last for a few months post summer, but I just don't have high hopes for all of the like you said last week, like they're sort of just talking this thing to death about what they want to do instead of just enjoying that you found someone that you love in this house and just seeing how it goes. Like it's being dissected like Craig and Paige's relationship about who's going to move somewhere.
Right. But it seems like I know that there's some detectives online that whenever like Kyle and Amanda are out on the town with like people, you can hear them in the background or something. So maybe they're just friends now.
I want it to be true. Well, who cares? I mean, why, if they don't want to be in a relationship, what do I care? I mean, but what
do we care about any of this shit?
Yeah, I loved their relationship. I thought it was very organic and like amazing how they kind of just like fell in love instantly, when Sierra started to cook with Wes in the house or whatever. Like I love their story.
They vibed. And he was like aware that when she said like, he's like, I've always seen dating as, and she goes, shackles. And he goes, well, kind of. He says to the boys, he's like, I could tell that was like a flub, and that she was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like he was self-conscious about the way the conversation
we'll
went.
see. There's still hope. And then I want to say, as a through line, that West isn't responsible for the finale party, which goes to show you, I mean, that's a lot of responsibility. And he is, they want to do a like Mad Max-esque doomsday apocalyptic party, which I thought was very cool.
Yeah.
I mean,
the budget has gone up on these parties.
Well, I have to say, my Megan told me, she said that someone told Sierra in like the comments on TikTok, they said, damn, Bravo really stepped up the party budget for you all. Like you guys are killing it. And Sierra said, Bravo doesn't pay 1 cent of our parties. We all decided this season that we're going to pull our money together and make these blowout, beautiful parties on our own.
I love that.
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah.
I
always wondered about that.
No, yeah, Sierra, I
mean, they're within reason. Like, he hired that like kiddie disco truck or whatever. But other than that, it's kind of just like shitty stuff from Amazon.
Yeah, but they've all been so cool theme wise. Like the race car one, the alien one, and now Doomsday was awesome.
Yeah, I'm always like so amazed that they have the energy to set that all up
and
clean it all up.
I do like that Bravo though does make them do the cleanup, because it would be too unrealistic to imagine just a cleaning crew or a party setup crew coming in. I like that Bravo makes them deal with the mess of the party. Yeah. It's such a fun staple to watch them like throwing the Loverboys away.
The Amazon packages are canon.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about the Kyle sit down with Carl? Is that where we're at?
Yes. Okay. They talk about the business structure for Carl's involvement in non-alcoholic. I
admired Kyle's business brain in this scene, because I do feel like he kind of sprung these details on Carl when maybe Carl wasn't fully ready for the introductory talks on camera for what the deal points were of this thing. And I like Kyle settling into this mode of like CEO. But he goes, I just want to throw some figures at you for you to mull over. And Carl's like, wait, let me get my computer. I want to write this down. Or I don't know if he had a computer, but he's like, I want to write this down. And Kyle says, okay, I want you to have a small retainer just so you have some income coming in. And I was like, okay, small retainer. I was like, Kyle, why did you say it was small? Like, you don't start out saying a figure is small. That like, why would Carl would instantly want to push back on that? And it's $3,000 a month to be a consultant for the non-alc brand of Loverboy, but not an employee.
Right. $3,000 a month, like just to be on board and consulting. $2,000 per event, unlimited amount of events, and then 10% of sales, like merch and product. on just specifically the non-alcoholic. He said he wanted it to start like a month before launch, which would put him at December, which Carl mentioned on the way into town, not with numbers, but he kind of expressed a similar outline to Lindsay. He said retainer, like cut of sales or whatever. So it sounded like they were on the same page as far as like the structure of it. Lindsay did tell him like, make sure you get those details, like that you're aligned with the details or whatever, which of course later they fight about. But I will say, I'm like, there's nothing in writing until something's in writing. There's nothing to refute.
No, this is like the first stage of negotiation. Yeah. I mean, if I was Carl, I would say $3,000 a month to consult. Like
maybe it's like 10 hours a week.
I mean, you'd have to get that. I don't know. I mean, you'd have to get that in writing, of course. But I just think, I mean, even $2,000 for an event, I was just like, I mean, I like that Kyle was proud of these numbers to put them on camera. But if I was Carl, instantly you counter all of these things. 10% of sales is great.
Yeah,
except
that's
I feel
thing.
like
I don't know what the potential of that is.
Well, but if Carl's like the full face of non-alc for Loverboy, like the full brand ambassador for it. I mean, 10%. I don't know. I just felt like this was like the first stage of negotiation, and Carl should have just taken these numbers with a grain of salt, ready to counteract them with a counter. Right. But that kind of leads to a little bit of some trouble with Lindsay in the fight that they have coming up.
Right. And then there was a cute moment between Jess and Wessie.
Oh, what do they do? I
Jesse.
forget.
They're just by the pool, and West is like, "So were you surprised last night?" And Jesse's like, "Surprised of what?" And he's like, "The surprise party, you bitch."
Yeah, that was sweet.
And West is just drinking rosé out of a wine bottle, like straight out of the bottle. And I was like, I respect that.
Yeah, I love that too. And then Jesse says, what we said earlier, he's like, I am just so grateful. He said, nothing can stop. I feel like nothing can stop me now. And I was like, God damn, imagine that feeling.
Yeah. He said he couldn't like move forward with any big life decisions because he didn't know what the fuck was going on. Also, it shows everyone getting ready. I'm sorry. Carl's like, he always chooses the most, like, he goes for the most flamboyant option. Like, it's giving, like, it was like a marching jacket with fringe. And I was like, with like skin tight, like leggings. And I was like, I love that that's your take on the end of days.
Was he going for Thriller? Because someone says it looks like a Michael Jackson vest.
I could see it. Also I just saw Furiosa, and at one point, what's his name? Who's the Aussie that's in it?
Oh, Chris
Thor.
Hemsworth?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Chris Hemsworth.
Not Chris. Yeah, Chris.
Chris.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you see the letterbox of Chris Hemsworth's favorite movies?
Oh, we were talking about this,
right.
but you should say.
No. I forgot that you and I already had this conversation.
But at one point, he is as the villain in Furiosa in the desert post-apocalypse, wearing a similar like marching band sort of vest or whatever.
Okay.
I was like, is this established as an aesthetic? Carl always swings for the fences with his fashion.
I always think it's interesting that these are so timed to like releases and blockbusters that are out at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like this came right at the same week as Furiosa coming out.
It flopped though.
Furiosa?
Yeah.
I know that one.
Movies in general are doing absolutely shit.
I listened to this podcast called The Big Picture, and he did this full like 10-minute monologue about how like the death of movies is happening, and that it's like no one knows what works anymore, and it like movies are going to become this like niche, thing that you and I like go to revival houses and watch.
Yeah.
Movies.
I was just listening to The Town, and he had the same exact kind of a rant.
Matthew Bellany?
Yeah.
That's a Ringer podcast.
There you go.
I love Matt Bellany.
It's fun. It's like making Hollywood sports.
He's so fun. Yeah, Matt Bellany. I hope he listens to Turtle Time. Okay, so now we're at the Carl and Lindsay talk, right?
Yes. Which I will say, like, generally we're in the stage of their fighting where she's not even being particularly difficult anymore, where it's just like, I think he's done. He's like, doesn't want her take, and she is afraid of their future. Like, she's worried that he's incapable.
Yeah. Okay.
In my opinion.
Okay.
And, he's just kind of like snapping. Like, he's like, well, there's nothing in writing. And she's like, remember when we talked in the car and I said that you should whatever? Like, I feel like he feels interrogated. She feels, it's the kind of thing where, like, at this point watching them, like, I've been, it's transformed from her being like accusing him of being cocaine Carl and just being like so deeply out of pocket and like abusive and horrendous, and now it's kind of like transferred into, I think because he's now being a little more combative and a little less like willing to just go along with whatever, that now it just feels like they literally can't communicate.
Yes.
And it's like a two-way street of
yes.
like, you guys suck at this.
That was my mind expanding thought when I watched this again. At the end of this episode, Carl is saying, like you just said, like, we can't even talk about our issues productively in a way where we're talking about how we talk to each other. Like, they can't even get to the root of the issues because they get so bogged down in the semantics of how they're saying things that they have a full communication disruption. And it's like, that is the real problem. All this stuff, I don't think that a relationship would necessarily need to end because Lindsay asks questions about Carl. I think that the fact that they can't get over it, and then she goes to bed and she's fine with letting life happen, and she, wakes up the next morning and it's okay, and he has to sit in the shit of being emotionally upset. That's all. That's it. Yeah. It's like they can't get to the common place because they don't even know how to talk about the issues that are bubbling up. And that's what I think was the ultimate demise, communication for both of them.
Yeah.
So she is just to like put this, like, I'm fine with how both of them view this fight. Mm-hmm. Carl is a little tired of Lindsay picking apart the multiple businesses, and there's more off camera. I know we have Lindsay stands that will be very mad, but there's more off camera that we have not seen, but there's also multiple we've seen on camera where Carl feels embarrassed and self-conscious about his ability to do things. Yeah. And he, at this point, sadly, I think because Lindsay wasn't really doing anything wrong, he equates questions with her literally questioning him and his ability to do anything with his life, because she's talked about how he's not, like, doesn't make any money from the endorsements, and then she's kind of picking apart, which I will say, Carl not knowing the details before he talked to Lindsay was very bad.
He should have known.
Him going, oh, I can ask him about that. Oh, wait, sorry. Yeah, I think that's what he said, but I'll actually talk about that.
He gets so flummoxed.
He's like,
he should have been like, said, I had a cursory conversation with Kyle. I'm not going to get into it yet. We seem to be on the same page, but we'll get into the nitty gritty later.
And he gave me an offer, but I know the stuff to counter. He had a lot of...
But that's also kind of sad that you have to be like, I need to come with all my ducks in a row before I present my case to my fiance.
Yes, for sure. But Carl did exactly what Lindsay is saying he would do.
He fell into the trap.
He fell into, and then when it devolves, he's just like, can you just say you're proud of me? Yeah. And it's like, then it gets sad, where I'm like, Carl is vulnerable right now. He's vulnerable and he wants a hug. And I'm like, at what point do you say asking for a hug is like, you know what I mean? It's like, it's like all he wants right now is some support because he's really defensive and sad about the shit that's going on. Yeah. And I understand why Lindsay isn't reading it that way. I understand why she's like, why we're in a partnership and you hated Loverboy in the past. So I asked questions to make you analyze this properly. Yeah. But I also understand why Carl's just like, please, for right now, I just want you to say Loverboy again, 10K on the books or whatever. You know what I mean? Like I get both of their sides. And it's very reasonable that they both have this difference of opinion here. You really can't. Team Lindsay fans can have a field day with that conversation. But I think Team Carl heads, if there are still any, can validate his perspective as well.
Yeah. It's just like, to me, like the fact that it all comes down to cash is like upsetting. And I'm like, she's under this whole guise that like, you need to make millions to live in New York City. And like, again, I've said it, like, I'm like, well, certainly your rent doesn't need to be $13,000 a month. Like, normal people live in New York every single fucking day.
Yeah.
Also, don't pretend that you guys don't make a huge cushion underneath. Like, he doesn't need to have a normal job.
Yeah.
That's fucking fake. Like, get a grip.
Yes.
And I also think it's just toxic. Like, I'm like, she would be thrilled if he got a job at like BlackRock Capital that like invested in like Aaron Brockovich like mines. Like, she would be like, we're ranking in the cash. Like, I'm like, I feel like
those mines, those mines that, which if I remember correctly, they kind of had an adverse effect on the surrounding.
Yeah, like I'm just like she's like, I want to like take over an already overrun city and open an Airbnb there, and I'm like, yeah, like there's more to life than like garbage cash.
You're saying she's like a full blown capitalist.
She is. She was probably proud of that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think that they're not fighting about what they're fighting about. That's my
sure.
Like, even though they're fighting about cash now, they're really fighting.
I think it's about, but also she thinks he's inept, which I think to an extent, at least in that category, he is. Like, if all you care about is like virality and like winning at life, like he's kind of like down and out. Like, I was just thinking about, this is kind of a weird way to phrase it, but the way that like everyone has such goodwill for Jesse right now because of what he's overcome. Mm-hmm. Like, it's so nice to watch. And you're like, you know, without that, they probably would have been like, he's a piece of shit fuck boy, like whatever. And here I go defending a man again. But I'm just saying, like, his hardship has made him more three-dimensional.
Yes.
And that's what is like more interesting than most of the other cast members we've had, where you're like, holy shit, like he's been through crazy stuff that no one else has. And I was like, if only Carl had something like that. And I'm like, oh, the way his brother died like a few years ago over an overdose, and then he got sober. Like, I'm like, he does have that, and everyone threw it into the trash can immediately.
He has horrible trauma in his life that he is still processing. And that's why I'm saying, when he says,
I'm like, can't we give him a fucking bone?
Yeah. I mean, yes, absolutely. And you could say the case, you could make the case that everyone is dealing with trauma and everyone is going through it. But I think that it does get sort of, it's not really well represented that Carl is still going through something and processing this huge.
Yeah, and they got engaged immediately, which is why we were like, at the time, like, maybe chill, because he's still in the danger zone.
I feel, you know, like we said with whatever that guy, Lou or whatever, it's like, if you could just make the case where you're just equivocally like, Carl is a fucking piece of shit who treated Lindsay like trash and blindsided her, whatever. It's like, really? I mean, does Carl seem like that type of person? Like an evil, nefarious person?
Don't read the comments.
Even Blindside. Hashtag Blindside. I'm sorry. I'm going to spoil this. I'm sorry, you hashtag Blindside heads. Well, I'm not going to say it, but I'm just saying, if you're holding out hope, the one thing that's going to make you morally in the clear for Lindsay's win is hashtag Blindside.
Yeah.
You know,
if
wait
anything,
and see.
There's just evidence that their relationship was even worse than you thought. And that's
for sure
on both sides.
And then now, I mean, you know, people are saying Carl should have said, I truly am really thinking about, you know, pushing the marriage. And it's like, is it not very clear from all of the fights that you're having
in separate beds
through
like
the
every
house
single weekend
that anyone in a relationship, why Lindsay didn't is up for debate, but anyone would have said, hey, this is not good. And obviously, if things continue down this path, we shouldn't get married. And then that's when Lindsay says, you're a goddamn coward. Anyway, we got to, I think we've talked about the evolution of all of Carl and Lindsay's fights here, you know, with what we just talked about.
Yeah. You can pluck it out of this party, but there's like, they fight again at the party.
Yeah,
like,
because Lindsay says, I don't want it, which good on Lindsay. She says, I don't want to just go through this, one of the most kick-ass parties we've ever had in the house, and have a disagreement. So Lindsay pulls him back for that. So do you want to talk about that? Because there's...
Yeah. So, I mean, her official stance that she vents to Ciara at one point and then says it again to Carl later. She just keeps saying that he wants her to be a Stepford wife.
Yeah, she said that like I'd say 7 times this season.
Which, I mean, that's obviously just like the bullet point she's trying to get across, but I would say that they both seemingly want each other to be different than who they are.
Yeah.
But
yeah. What does we've talked about this before, that like Lindsay doesn't seem like she enjoys Carl very much for the most part.
I think she low-key hates him. But
right.
And I think he also doesn't enjoy his time with her any longer.
Yeah.
So they talk about, the softness and sensitivity conversation, which he said on the after show. He said that he didn't realize that was offensive. So he will not be saying that anymore. She brings up like, that I ran a PR firm, and he goes, trust me, you've told me a lot that that's what you did, which I'm like, I mean, whatever. It was giving, when she did have that job, it was giving like summer house lower third job. Where
it just says PR strategist
right.
or whatever. What does it
She's
say
just
now?
like making calls.
Now it says influencer like page, right?
Now it just says influencer.
Oh, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then this is a rehash of the same fight where he says what we already said, which is that when I'm announcing something to you, sometimes I just want support, and your questioning seems like interrogation of my prowess at being able to do things.
Yeah.
So I just want, he said, softness and tenderness. That translates to Lindsay, like, you knew me. You knew when you got engaged to me that I was like this. How could you expect me to change? And, the rebuttal to that is that you don't see, there are things that happen in your life that test your relationship in different ways. When you get engaged, when you get married, when you have a child, there's a lot of people that go into engagements not knowing every facet of a human that they're sharing their life with. And also Lindsay and Carl admittedly went too fast. Yeah. They use their friendship as a metric for how long they've known each other. I'm saying it's not really a get out of jail free card for Lindsay to say you knew who you got engaged to. Do you agree with me, or am I
right? Yeah. I mean, she continues to say that into the finale. And on one hand, I am like, I've known who she is. She kind of is acting the exact same as she always did. So I don't know what he thought was going to be different, except that I do think she changed for a while at the time of his tragedy. She, they had a different lifestyle for probably like 6 months. Also at one point, when they're yelling at each other at this party, it kind of like goes by quickly, but she says, there are no feelings in regards to this. Like basically saying this is all business.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, well, obviously there are.
She says, why can't I do a full Jordan Belfort and just talk about this like it's cash, that we have to dissect?
She would have loved Jordan Belfort.
She
would have been the Duchess of Long Island or whatever.
Yeah, he was so cool. And then they're kind of talking about what they're not talking about. They can't get to the bottom of it because it's like dual triggers. Lindsay's like, I don't want to be a Stepford wife. You married me, so that's how I am. And he's like, please just be soft and hug me. I'm going to cry.
Yeah.
And then they devolve into kind of insults. I forget. Lindsay's like, when you call me a Stepford wife or when you ask me to be soft, it offends me. And Carl goes, you offend me all the time.
Yeah.
And I don't bring it up to you. And she goes, well, if we're going tit for tat, I am leaving right now. And he goes, why wouldn't you stay in this conversation? We're talking. And she goes, I didn't want to fight with you. I came to resolve this shit. Now I want to get up and leave and party my ass off, because I'm seeing like flamethrowers and the most fun shit I've ever seen over there. And then Carl's like, we're talking. This is a conversation we're having. We're not done yet. And now you're going to go off and we're going to repeat the same cycle where it's not resolved. And I was like, that's true. Yeah. It's true that if you don't wrap this up now and figure out what you both are talking about, that is symbolic of your future.
Yeah.
Because what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Have fights, never know what the fuck either of you said, and then let it linger for 2 days and then have another one when it blows up again?
Yeah.
It is good that Carl wants to recognize that this is a microcosm of their entire future.
Yeah. And then it's like he goes to the bathroom. He's like, you know, sober and has to sit in the stew, and she gets to go do shots and like, you know, twirl batons or whatever.
Yeah. They end with that. It's a lot.
It's a fucking lot.
It's a fucking lot. And
Yeah.
then, so I think that, you know, the Carl and Lindsay dynamic is much more complicated than people are giving it credit for.
Well, then, so I always watch the after show despite how upsetting I find it, specifically. And you know what? Haters, come fucking at me.
Oh no, wait. Our reviews.
Okay.
Wait. Write
we
it,
might
regret
get
it.
some 1 stars.
Write it, regret it. Wait. Okay, no, I'm just kidding.
Literally, the after show room that is Gabby and Lindsay just agreeing and hyping each other up across the board nonstop for 20 minutes, to me is like I see Jigsaw on the little tricycle and he's like, hey, like, welcome to hell. I want to like literally like slit my eyeballs out every time because it's like the least productive environment you've ever heard. I'm like, she's not being like a good friend, like backing her up. She's being like a yes man as if she's on payroll. It's like she's like her legal counsel. I'm like, what are you getting paid for this? Because you're just like riding so hard up her asshole. Like, what is in it for you? Yeah. It's like nuts.
Yeah, it's sycophantic to a degree to which it's not fun to watch. It's the exact opposite of when you put Amanda and Danielle in a room where they are countering each other and not accepting dud energy. But also
I feel bad for Amanda because she would be having a blast in the other room.
Yeah, I know. But I get what you mean.
Paige.
Like they want people that are aligned, but Gabby and Lindsay are unfortunately too aligned for
They're
that
like
to
doing
be
a bit.
Yes.
It's
And
like insane.
Yeah, it's wild to watch. I mean, I wonder if there's anything that Lindsay could say ever in this context that Gabby would say, I don't agree with you about that.
No, there's not.
Yeah. So anything else in the after show? I watched it and I don't really recall powerful moments, but if there was anything.
Well, there was one thing that happened in that torture chamber where Lindsay says that she's complaining that Carl always takes the easy road and that Loverboy was the easy road.
Damn.
And that she had the realization that she was the easy road. Oh. And I'm like, it took you years to realize that. I'm like, yeah, you got engaged to your best friend. Like every movie, like, you know that you just like looked around the room and you were the one that was left. Like we all knew that already.
Right. Yeah.
Like you guys were a bad match, obviously.
And the whole house knew it.
Yeah.
You all stunk up the room when you came back from that engagement thing and no one was happy for you. It was sad. I would never want to be the couple that everybody thinks stinks like a fish when they walk in the room. But you all were that. Danielle saw the signs, and Lindsay chose to ignore that relationship was received that way.
Yeah. I'm just like, will there ever come a day when you realize it was for the best?
Yes, of course. But it negates her entire blindside vindication journey for her to say, I think Carl did the right thing. We were fighting our asses off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, but she will have to admit it when you're in a relationship with someone else and you're having the best time of your life. She's gonna have to admit that it was ultimately for the best that Carl did this, right? Yeah.
She says it's in the preview for the reunion that she reveals she's in a new relationship. And Andy goes, has he seen the show? And she goes, no. And he goes, oh boy.
Yeah, that was great. I will
also,
say...
the only main thing from the reunion preview that really sticks out to me is that Andy says, who here thinks that Carl is scared of Lindsay? Every single person raises their hand, including Carl and including Andy. So a topic that has come up in general, and it comes up with the finale, no spoiler, but like the idea that like, I don't know, people, the rebuttal against how this has gone down is that Carl's manipulative and that like he planned this and is like conniving and gaslighting and stuff like that. And I'm like, but also he's terrified of her.
Right.
I'm like, I think he's just afraid of her, and so it was really hard for him to do this.
Right. Yeah, I think so too. I mean, I don't put any nefarious intentions on Carl.
Like, if anything, he's like, it's embarrassing that he can't speak up for himself.
Yeah.
But I think through this process, hopefully in his next relationship,
yeah,
he will be able to do that.
Yeah, and I think you can kind of tell from the tenor of Amy and I's conversation that
I'm
the finale.
Terrified
No,
the internet.
No, that the finale where we weren't we weren't so like we're definitely safe in all of these opinions. Like, we have the future in front of us, and we're not going to spoil it. But I'm just saying, like, you could. I don't know. Like, I feel very confident in what we said today. And I feel like everyone has to get over this black and white hero villain mentality. It will be so much better for the world and for the Bravo fan base in general. Just get over it. Realize that great people do horrible things. Horrible people do great things. You can you can think someone's funny that does despicable things. You can think someone said something stupid that you love. Like, who cares?
Yeah. I think after the finale drops, I can really go balls to the wall. And then
you and I are.
I'm gonna delete all the apps off my phone and go to Europe for 3 weeks and never come back.
Wait. Give your the episode before you leave. Give the hottest take of the century, the most write it, I can't regret it or whatever sentiment ever, and then just go for 3 weeks and just.
Oh my gosh! I was just talking to someone about that book about it was like, so you've been not canceled, but like
so you've been publicly shamed, John Ronson.
It was like based on that woman that tweeted that horrible shit on her way. She was like tweeted something on a flight that was like very offensive, and then she turned off her phone, and like before she got across the world, she was canceled. And I'm like, everyone was like on Twitter like, has she landed yet? Like,
oh my god.
I'm like, that's gonna be me after
my god
Summer House finale.
Amy, do you mind if we have a Riverside conversation really quick? I need to talk to you ASAP. Absolutely
iTunes
not.
deleted your podcast.
Yeah, there is serious. I mean, I know we'll get canceled at some point, but there is, you and I think are being very reasonable, and I'm sorry if you absolutely listen to the whole episode and you hate.
I'm just saying, I've watched Summer House for however many fucking 8 seasons, and I've never been a fan of Lindsay, and her behavior only proved myself to feel vindicated this year, and I will stand firm to my beliefs under fire.
Good. All right. Well, stand firm. I mean, that's what the Turtle Time way is. Stand firm in your belief until someone says one mean thing, and then we fully retract everything we said. No. What are we even saying? This is a nuanced conversation, and I have to say that we're closing out, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Please turn off the mics. No. Please. I have to say, the commenting thing. I have to say, you and I have like 3 bad reviews or 4 bad reviews.
I know. I'm like, I feel that bad after like 2 negative things when everyone's actually so nice to us.
No, they're so nice. So, but I just have to say, if you listen and we see YouTube comments, people are being mean, like, what in the world? Why in the world would you listen to something and then say, I'm going to hate this shit?
Text it to your friends like me.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
Talk
like a normal
shit in
person.
private, say praise in public. Please. Look, please. Amy and I are human beings. We're just sitting here talking about Bravo shows. We try to be so diligent and respectful to all these people. If you have something horrible to say to us, please, for the love of God, think about it for 6 months and then write it if you truly believe it in 6 months. Please.
Write it to us on New Year's
Day
2025.
Please. New Year's Day 2025 is when you can spew hatred like the Exorcist out of your mouth at us. But if you have something good to say, please say it because we love it. Let's live in a positive world. And if you have something villainous and horrible to say, please think about it for a little bit before you write that. That's what I'll say.
Or don't. Do whatever you want.
Write a horrible comment? Okay. Yeah. All right. Okay. And then lastly, I want to say if you enjoyed this experience, which, I'm sure someone did out here, 2 hours and 50 minutes, please go to the Patreon where you can pay $5. And Amy and I give you all 4 episodes, 1 a week, of a Vanderpump Rules recap series. Amy and I have been doing this for like a year. We're at the end of season 4, and I swear it's exactly the same fun as this, except it's even a little more, I'd say, unfiltered and chaotic and just silly. And I think some stuff happens on there that I think our Villa Rosa VIPs get excited about, and it's fun. Yeah. It's a good community.
And we feel less afraid there.
Yeah, and it's also, I'd say it's 99% just happy, good, fun. I would say 100%. I mean, it's just like, why? Why would you ever create a fan base or a toxic community where everyone hates each other and hates people? Like, it's awful.
We love our Churchill cuties. The Villa Rosa umbrella is very fun. Yeah. The comments are honestly educational. Like you said, we learned what cash, bond, and bail are.
Amy and I will ask a question. We'll be like, we don't know how bonds work. And then we get wonderful Villa Rosa VIPs who just answer our questions. Or we'll say, I don't remember this thing from season 6. And people will answer. It's like,
oh yeah, they'll be like, I saw this thing on Reddit years ago where they hypothesized this. It's like a brain trust.
There was some great Reddit theory that someone said that like Megan told me, and I was like, damn, that like changes everything. And I was like, I love that type of community. And even if Amy and I don't comment on Patreon, we absolutely love every comment and we think about it. And the only reason we can't get back to everybody is because Amy and I are running on absolute fucking fumes to make Turtle Time work. And so we try our best to be strategic with our time. Yeah. So, but we love you. Is that the end?
I think
Did it end on a was I ranting and I aggrieved at the end?
Yeah, I don't know if we like spawned the desire for more hateful comments or not, but
I please don't. I just want to say, you think it's okay? They should?
Well, they can do whatever they want.
Oh, of course. Okay. Yes. You can do whatever you want. I would prefer.
It's a free country.
Okay. Yeah, I would prefer if you didn't. But if you absolutely have to hate the podcast, yes, please write a bad review. That'd be really nice. I'll read it. I'll process how it affects me as a human being on Earth.
I will talk about it with my therapist in the morning.
Yeah, and thank you. That would be nice. But anyway, no, but we're kind of the people that talk about the 1% of hate when 99% of it is so beautiful and good. It's like, we just had the best experience with West. It was so sweet. And we love all of our little turtle cuties and our Villa Rosa VIPs. We just look at the 1% and we're like, what the fuck is going on there? But overall, this has been the best experience. And we love all the people that love Turtle Time. It's so sweet and wonderful.
Yeah, they bless us with their ears every week, and we love you.
All right. Good night. Go to sleep. We love you.
Like a balloon, always high, never ever low. Yes, maybe I could try.